Welcome in to the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. It is a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It is time for supernatural news and Parashare here on the program. And of course, with that, we need a co-host. So we bring in the co-host with the most. We get the best in the biz on this day. It is the BCB, the big cuddly bear himself, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, sir?
Oh, hello. I'm doing fantastic. I want to let our listeners know that if they hear some thunder and stuff, we're having bad storms over here. My house is not haunted.
Oh, jeez.
See?
Talk about the cue. It came perfect timing. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, we're getting some light flickers and stuff. So if you lose me, that's why. But I want to let the listeners know, no, my recording area is not like Tim's. I don't have a friendly ghost to play mysterious songs.
Yeah, you don't have the button bar over there in the end to the sea. I know. Yeah, that was real, folks. That just fired off there.
I had a couple wrestling students that listen to the program, and because they're into the paranormal and stuff, and for about 25 minutes, I had to explain to them, no, that was not a bit. That was 100% real. And we played it back, and I'm explaining to them like what your face looked like, and I'm trying to explain to them like, because they all thought it was a bit. They thought we had set it up as a bit and all that, and I was trying to explain to them, no, like, this is true. We've had other experiences. He has this ghost down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, really? They're like, whoa, we're seeing behind the curtain. I'm like, there's no behind the curtain. It happened.
No. Yeah. You got to tell them there's no kayfabe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, oh, this is 100%. I go, I've seen Cruiser worry, but that was a big worry.
Yeah. There's been a few episodes. I got to tell you, at Michigan Paracon, and we'll go over just in the beginning part of the program because we got a lot to get to today. I mean, there's a lot to get to, lots of stuff that happened this past week in the paranormal. We had a tragic week, and then some interesting stuff happened over the weekend. But I first just have to say thank you to all the people that came by at Michigan Paracon and talked about how much they enjoy the show, and especially the quality of the show. They keep talking about how much better and how much they enjoy the shows as of late. Not only the shows that you and I do together, but also the content of the shows, the actual content of the shows, not just the interviews, but the news segments and Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. They think that's just amazing. They love the dynamic between you and I, and I just want to,
because it's true. We're two buddies that hang out.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just we're recording it now.
Yeah, that's right. So,
and we're a little less dirty.
Yeah.
We censor ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. We tone it down a little bit. But a lot of kind words. There are a lot of kind words, a lot of affection out there. A lot of people love the program, and we just want to thank you guys for stopping by and showing your affection for it. So that's the best way to put it. So thank you so much. And I told Bruiser off air. So just a quick shout out to Joe Jr. and Joe Sr. for coming up and saying two words, Kirk Cousins, and then letting me rant. They wanted to see it in person. I gave it to them for about 40 minutes. Yeah, I get a little wound up. Want to say hi to Kelly. Kelly came by and said she didn't know exactly what Darkness Radio was. And so I explained to her what it was. She went back to her hotel room that night after seeing everything there was at Michigan Paracon, which is huge.
Right.
It's this huge spectacle. Went back to her room. She was there with her parents. Listened to the show, came back the next day and said, I bet you don't know or remember who I am. And I said, you're Kelly. And her eyes lit up and went, oh my God, you remember. And then she said, I listened. You have a new fan.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Welcome to the group.
That's right. Welcome to this.
Welcome to the family. We're a strange bunch.
Yeah, it's more like the
kind of kooky, kind of creepy.
More like the Munsters or the Addams Family. But welcome in, Kelly. So you're hearing yourself there. Or hearing your name. And there was somebody else I said, if you may hear your name on air, and I'm trying to remember who it was. But yeah, if it comes up, I'll remember. There's a lot of good times this weekend at Michigan Paracon.
Good.
One of
needed it. We all needed it.
Yeah, one of the things that really came up and really hit hard, and you'd be surprised because a lot of people when we first started this show and this incarnation of Darkness Radio, we had a very vocal minority that has since fallen off that didn't like the, let's just say, mixed. It's not really even a mixture. Didn't like the mention of pro wrestling and paranormal in the same breath. But it's like
that's why we came up with the underwater needle point.
Exactly, that little code word, so to speak. But they kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans that get a crossover when I go to shows. We get listeners that come up, and vice versa. I'll do signings and stuff, and I'll have a mixture of listeners. I'll have regular fans, and then what's really cool too is pro wrestling fans will find out we do this because I have it on my sheet. My sales sheet. I'll say, darknessradioshow.com, and they'll, what's that? And I'll explain to them. And next thing you know, they'll come up, man, I listen to all your shows. That's great. You guys cover everything, and it's a natural. It goes hand in hand. And
one of those wrestlers or sports entertainers that's out there that was the epitome of that peanut butter and jelly mix passed away last week.
Yes. We lost a legend in Terry Funk. I believe he was 80 years old, which is very sad. But we also lost Wyndham Rotunda, who is better known as Bray Wyatt. And he was only 36. I did find out, it's public now, how he passed away. He had COVID earlier this year, right after his return to WWE. He got COVID, and it got into his heart. He was hospitalized last week because of the heart issues, and they sent him home with a defibrillator that he had to keep, so that way if it, because of his heart. And last week, Wednesday, was it Thursday? He told his fiance, I am not feeling well. I'm going to lay down. He lay down for a nap, and he had a heart attack and passed away. And his alarm had been going off for about an hour. She had walked in because, he had to wake up. She saw he was blue, he was cold, called 911. They pronounced him dead. Yeah. He had forgotten the defibrillator in the car is what had happened. But I was friends with him. I wasn't great friends with him, but I was good friends with him. I was friends with him.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go back, I posted a picture of him right in the forefront and the guy standing in the background. The guy in the background is me. They brought me in because, like you said, he fits into the paranormal world because the character Bray Wyatt it essentially started as a family cult leader, kind of like Charles Manson. It was like a combination of Charles Manson and Robert De Niro's character from, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear. Yep. That was the combination. But then it morphed into a supernatural character. And he was in a feud with Roman Reigns, and what he wanted to do is Wyndham was always reading scripture, and not just Catholic scripture, but Jewish scripture, Hindu scripture, Buddha, everything. And he would and he'd try to work that into his gimmick somehow. And he'd come up with this idea, like, I can play mind tricks with Roman. What if I had a fake Bray Wyatt come out? Roman goes and attacks him. I can attack Roman. Well, I was the fake Bray Wyatt because I built like him, same facial features. They put a wig on me. And so that I'd actually met him before that because his really good friend was Eric Rowan and Joe Henning, are two of his really good friends. And I broke in with Eric and Joe. I helped train at Harley's.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, hey, this is my buddy. This is my buddy. You guys will all get along. So we'd go out and drink beer and talk and all that. But once I did that fake Bray Wyatt, we formed kind of a communication. And when Vinny in a Ring of Honor wanted to become Vincent, I put him in touch with Bray. And all of a sudden morphed the new Vincent character with all the supernatural and all that. And what was great about Wyndham, like I said, is he would think outside the box of wrestling. Like when the pandemic hit and he created The Fiend, he thought of ways, hey, how can I make this? Because now there's no live fans. We can do this recorded. How can I make it so it's creepy and scary? And some stuff didn't work. Some stuff did.
Yeah.
And I remember when he got released the first time, the world was, wrestling world was up in arms. And then when he came back at Extreme Rules, right after Brody passed away, again, he blew up the world, and he came back as this even more supernatural character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I recommend fans, listeners of the show, go back. You don't have to watch his matches, but watch his promos and his vignettes, because he talks to you in that weird, creepy way, that Manson-esque way, where you start to believe him. And you and I were talking off air yesterday, and we went back and watched his last promo. Mm-hmm. And you said it's like so surreal now watching how he passed and what he was saying in that very last promo, and is essentially saying goodbye to everybody.
I really do believe that Wyndham had, we've talked about it on the show before. People who have a sense of not necessarily being psychic, but having a sense of, I don't want to say a sense of foreboding, but a sense that there is something on the horizon, and knowing that the storm is coming, or knowing that they're almost at peace of things that are coming in the future, but knowing that maybe they don't have as long of a life here on Earth as maybe the rest of us, and they're trying to, and they know that they're going to catch lightning in a bottle, and they know that the ride on that lightning is short. And I think he always knew that.
I think really so too. And I think with Brody passing away, it kind of brought it to the forefront in his mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Brody had passed away at such a young age and so quick and so unexpected that I think he knew. I'm not saying he knew he was. I mean, we all know we're going to die, but I didn't think he knew when he was going to. But like you said, you can foreshadow. You know what I mean? He had that. Every time I hung out with him, we'd always get on paranormal, and we'd talk about different hotels we stayed in. That were haunted, because that's the cool thing about traveling for wrestling is we don't always stay in 5-star hotels, and we'd always share stories about rooms or places we'd been, and he didn't even want to talk wrestling. He wanted to talk that, and we'd talk like ghost hunting equipment, because he was interested in getting into it. You know what I mean? Like that's what he wanted. That's one of his he had a passion for wrestling, passion for music, and a passion for the paranormal. And we'd educate each other on cryptids and stuff like that. And he always had this weird sense where, like, I wish I could have talked to him one more time after you interviewed the gentleman that said that demons and spirit, or what was it? It was demons and
aliens?
And aliens. That whole thing. Because I think that's right up Wyndham's alley. You know what I mean? Because he thought so outside the box with everything in his life. He would have latched onto that and had a theory. You know what I mean?
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to put Nathaniel Gillis and Wyndham Rotunda in a room together and just watch them go.
And that's the thing about Wyndham, too. And you kind of experienced this because you've met him a couple times, right? But he's a very educated man.
Only once.
But he was very educated, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Very educated. And what I loved about him is he did that research. He read scriptures for everything to find out how he could bring it into the pro wrestling world.
Yeah.
And make it his own.
Yeah. 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 I would have loved to have gotten to know the man. I'm incredibly sad just because of the talent that leaves the world. The talent and the awesome man that leaves the world, and that the potential will never be seen.
Not only was he talented and awesome, but he was a wonderful father to 4 kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the part that really gets to me is there's 4 children waking up without a husband or without a father.
Yeah.
There's 2 mothers waking up without a father for their children to help co-parent these, because he was in their kid. You go on his Instagram post, it's his kids. You know what I mean? And Joe is godfather to one of his daughters, and Wyndham was a godfather, one of Joe's sons. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when I spoke to Joe, because I spoke to him I sent him a text to see how he was doing. Because I remember when Jay Briscoe left, how bad I was, and it felt good. People reaching out, you know what I mean, checking it. So I reached out to him, and he actually called me back, which is weird in today's society. And he was just weeping. And we got on the topic of just being a father, and I never got to see Wyndham with his children, but Joe did, and Joe said, he was a father first.
It's with that too, Bruiser, that I think to myself, as a child, if you were to have a father that was that creative, that was that imaginative, think of this. I mean, think of Bray Wyatt or even Wyndham Rotunda in that mind that created the Firefly Funhouse. As twisted as it is, but as gentle as it was too. There was a gentle mind in there, a loving mind in there that created a child's program that had an evil twist to it, a supernatural twist to it as well. That it was. Think about the imagination that you would have as a father to sit down and be able to play with your children like that, and think about the loss that those children have. To me, it's just astounding that you would lose that parental figure. And how do you? It's one thing when you lose a parent, but then someone who leaves that kind of hole in your soul, I can't imagine it.
I know, but. Hopefully his kids will be able to live through the stuff he left behind, the vignettes and the promos and whatever he has at home. You know what I mean? Because he became really good friends with Tom Savini. For people that don't know who Tom Savini is, he is probably the most famous special effects makeup artist in Hollywood. Worked with George Romero, worked with Quentin Tarantino, worked on all the Friday the 13th movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that. He's the one that created the Fiend mask. But they were working on, when Bray had left for that period before he came back, they were working on I don't remember if it was a miniseries or a movie that came from Bray's mind. You know what I mean? And they filmed some stuff. I don't think it'll ever see light of day now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, just that creative, and not only creative, but he was always inquisitive. He was always looking into stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's just tragic. We go from that to, just personally between you and I, we jump right back into work, or we're in the middle of work. I know I was in the middle of work and I couldn't believe it. Some of our listeners had got a hold of me first through instant message and just said, "Have you heard?" And to me, it was surreal. To me, anytime anyone younger than I passes away, I can't believe it. It doesn't seem real.
No, I can't either. And Terry Funk passing away was sad. I'm not trying to take away anything from what he had, because especially since he was a guy that the reason I drink Coors Light now is because of him. I've gotten to know Terry. He was really good friends. I was real sad when he passed away, but he was 80 years old, had dementia, was in assisted living. You know what I mean? So you're kind of like, okay.
That was more of an expected end. Friends around him knew that his life was winding down.
Yeah, and then with Wyndham, it reminded me a lot of Jamin, where it's the wrestler. We call it the wrestler tree. It's the wrestler phone tree. Everyone starts texting and stuff. Hey, did you hear? Did you hear? Is it true? Is it true? And I remember when I got word about Jay Briscoe passing away, I didn't believe it. I thought, nope, this is one of those things. So when this came up, it was almost like that. 'Cause it's like, no, he's only 36. He's not supposed to. It's not what's supposed to happen, And unfortunately, it was.
And from a fan's perspective, it's different from people who know him, and you're in absolute shock, dismay. Someone you personally know. From a fan's perspective, when we all kind of walk around like zombies that day. You don't know the man personally,
But it made me realize how much effect we as wrestlers have on fans, because you don't really see that from our side. We go out, we do our job, we perform, we entertain. It's when we see or speak to fans and they can be personal with us about how our work affected them. And the booker here for AML Wrestling, his name is Brian Hawks. Mm-hmm. I become really good friends with him. Well, his youngest daughter, her favorite wrestler was Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. And she was almost inconsolable when she found out. And it reminded me, oh my gosh, we do have that impact on people. And this is like me as a kid with Mick Foley. You know what I mean? Like, if he would have passed away when I was a kid like that, I would be the same way. You know what I mean? And so that's why whenever I saw fans and they'd be wearing the, Rip Bray, I didn't say anything to them, because mourn him. He touched you in such a way that you feel this way with him passing. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted to do. As wrestlers, we want to tap into that emotional side of fans. We want you to love us or hate us, but to care about us that much that when something bad, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't really see it a lot with the Briscoes because I was so into my own feelings. But here I was able to be there for my friends, but then I could see this with the fans. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like he touched a lot of lives, man. That character that he created and that he nurtured and brought up and made it what it was, made that impact on people. Like you yourself in the back of your office there have the hurt and heal gloves you used to wear.
Yeah.
I have the Bray Wyatt shirt that I wore when I was the fake Bray Wyatt. He let me keep it.
Oh, wow.
So when he passed, I put it in a box. I'm like, I'm not going to wear this again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I used to wear it proudly because it was awesome. But now it's like, no, that's a memory. I'm going to keep that memory. It's a memory now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. There were a few people that, for one reason or another, I'm other than being extreme Bray Wyatt fans, brought or had worn to the convention their Bray Wyatt gear, or their shirts, not knowing of the tragedy beforehand, of course. But just happened to have their Bray Wyatt shirts with them and were wearing them around the convention. Just like there are people that wear their Danhausen gear too, because Brian Danhausen, Donovan's dad, of course, is a psychic that works at the convention every year. And I'll tell you a little bit maybe next week about the reading I got. We don't have time this week, but I'll tell you next week about the reading I got. But there was definitely a lot of talk at the convention about Bray and about what kind of impact he had on individual people. And I think that's the side that maybe as a worker you don't see, is the impact and how fans relate to each other and in how that particular wrestler impacts individuals' lives. And that's what we sit around and talk about, is the matches and the memories and and even the skits and the vignettes and the things that made us smile, the things that impacted us, the cool moments and just the sadness at how young he was and how we won't ever have another memory again. That's what's really so tragic is how his family won't ever have another memory again. That's really what's devastating to us too.
Yeah. He was a fantastic human being, and he's going to be sorely missed. And he was a fantastic entertainer. And like I said, all our listeners, even if you're not a wrestling fan, just go look at his vignettes and watch the metamorphosis of the character from the back-ridden swampland cult leader to the Firefly Funhouse kids dark game show host to the creature that can't be killed to what he was when he finally was there, the humble supernatural being that he was.
Mm-hmm. I wish he would have got that final chapter out, because I I was anxious to see what that final chapter was going to be.
He was supposed to, and that's when he got sick. And then he just never got cleared from the doctors to come back because it was in his heart.
Yeah. Oh, well.
You know, and that's the one thing I'm happy that's changed in professional wrestling is we are now, all of us are taking our health seriously. Where back in the day, it was you work no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why at 45 I had hip replacement surgery, and I'll need knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries because that's the generation I was. But now I tell these kids, hey, you can work hurt, don't work injured.
Yeah.
And you have to be cleared. Promoters want you to be cleared by doctors before you come in. 'Cause can you imagine if he was still wrestling? And he had the condition?
He wouldn't have made it to this point.
Exactly. We would have lost him a lot sooner in a more tragic way.
He probably would have went, I would guess maybe a year or so ago, maybe more. Yeah.
You know, and from what I've read, WWE's still taking care of his family. They'll make sure that his contract is fulfilled, and
Good.
they're helping with the services. And I know Tony Khan of AEW is allowing the AEW wrestlers that were friends with him to miss their live show tomorrow to go to the funeral.
Good.
And that's what's cool about professional wrestling is we all can come together like that when something happens. And whether you're an AEW fan or a WWE fan, it doesn't matter. They're doing what's right for Wyndham and his family.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Good. Well, folks, we got a huge show today, and we've got some interesting stories here today as well. Just to kind of wrap up our weekend. So Michigan Paracon, huge Paracon. I want to thank Tim Ellis and Brad Blair for having us out at the convention and letting Darkness Radio represent out there at the convention. Like I said, lots of great people, met a lot of great people this weekend. One listener came up and insisted on meeting Bruiser, so we put him on FaceTime. Interestingly enough, did not get the impression of Ziggy Starpup that he thought he was going to get. Thought Ziggy Starpup had long, blonde, curly hair.
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
She is.
No, she does not.
She is a brindle coat. She looks like a tiger.
Yep.
With a dopey face.
Yep. So
beautiful dopey face.
But he was very happy. He was a happy customer at the end, and so I want to thank Bruiser for that. And we had a good time. It was a very good time out at Michigan Paracon. Again, I want to thank Brad and Tim. Tickets, I believe, are available now for 14 in 24. Michigan Paracon 14. And I'll tell you, it's going to be slamming out there in Sault Ste. Marie. It'll take place in the exact same weekend, that last full weekend in August of next year. So plan accordingly, folks, because it's going to sell out. It's going to do. It always does. It always does big business out there in Sault Ste. Marie. So make sure you get your tickets now. And
cons are fun. Cons are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. And you
get a plethora of everything, and you find something new, just like Kelly did.
Exactly.
She found something new.
Exactly. And I'll tell you this much, it still is, and until they decide to give up the ghost, it is going to be, literally and figuratively, it is the biggest convention there is out there for the paranormal. So it's you can meet any and everybody out there. So I mean,
yeah, you said Jack Osborne was out there this time.
Jack Osborne was out there. Actually, on the way back, he was 2 seats in front of me on the airplane. Him and Dakota Layden chopping it up on the airplane on the way back.
Very cool.
I can't imagine what they were talking about, but they were deep in they were so deep in conversation, the flight attendant had to tell them to shut up during the instructions.
Really?
Yes, they were into it.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know. I can't imagine what they're talking about, but they were talking about something.
That's opposite for me. I get on a plane, I put my headphones in, just want to be left alone.
They were going on about something. There's something really interesting there. So, but that's good. That's good. That means that they had a good conversation going. So, yeah. But I nearly missed my flight on the way back because TSA at Sault Ste. Marie decided they wanted to give me the best massage I've ever had in my life. They decided to do the 44,000 point rub down on me, or pat down. And
is this because you're trying to smuggle the bomb chocolate?
No. I did have some fudge with me, but
yeah, that's it. The bomb fudge.
Yeah, the bomb fudge. But no, that wasn't it at all. They just wanted to do a really thorough job. I appreciate the fact that they wanted to do a thorough job, but finally a supervisor came over and said, "Let him go. He's going to miss his flight." They didn't even let me. I missed pre-boarding and everything. I was the second to the last person on the flight, and I was supposed to have extra time to board. Yeah.
Wow. So they just wanted to give the cruiser a good old rub down,
yeah,
huh?
They did. Evidently,
they're like, wow, look at you.
Evidently, the few pounds I lost after heart surgery, they think I'm one sexy beast. They just can't keep their hands off me. So
TSA is like, quick, plant something on that guy.
Yeah. I just want to glove up and give him a rub down.
Let's feel his internal organs. It's going to be so good.
Quick, plant some fudge on him. I want him to stay. I had no idea what they wanted with me, but hey. I almost.
They didn't even buy you dinner first, did they?
No, not at all. Well, there's no place to have dinner in the Sault Ste. Marie airport.
Oh, it's a tiny airport, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a vending machine. That's all it is. I would have had some Funyuns and a Coke and more rub down.
At least you're relaxed on the flight, right?
Well, I was, yeah. You know, the one thing I thought was funny, you want to hear the ultimate oxymoron? You ready for this? Okay,
yeah.
So I wear a Dexcom, which is a semi-permanent blood sugar measuring device, okay? Mm-hmm. It sticks into your skin. You wear it for 10 days, okay? Yeah. So I took it off. My sensor ran out. It expires every 10 days. So I took it off Saturday night, Sunday morning, because I was flying out Sunday morning. It's just a pain in the ass when you go to either go through an airport sensor or when they go to do the pat down, because when they wave the little wand, it catches, you know?
Yeah, it goes over it, yeah.
Right. And then they want you to lift up your shirt. Not really lift up your shirt, but then they feel it and they go, "What is this?" And you go, "Oh, it's my Dexcom sensor." And they go, "Oh, okay, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah." Well, in smaller towns, they all in a tizzy about it.
Oh, yeah.
So rather than put it back on, put the new one on, because I brought the new sensor with me to install if I decided to. I decided to leave it off and leave it in my bag. And
which is smart. Yeah, you don't have to deal with it then. Yeah. Even though they're going to rub you down anyways.
Right. And I just brought a blood sugar tester kit with me, so I could test my blood sugar on the way home. So I figured, you know what, I'll just put it on when I get home. Not a big deal. So I didn't have anything, and I put it on my stomach. Okay.
Okay.
So the guy's, you know, he's got his gloved hand in my waistband, and he's rubbing back and forth. You know, they use the back of their hand, and he's got it all up and down my waistband, brother. He's just back and forth, and like he's trying to figure out, you know, with the back of his hand what my waistband size is. You know what I'm saying? Right?
He's hoping that you're going lower.
Yeah, exactly.
Lower.
I think he's trying to rub me to a chub, if you know what I mean. Right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, all right, you can take your hand out at any time. But then he says something like, I think they found my Dexcom unit, and he asked what it was. And I said, oh, that's my Dexcom. And he goes, well, do you have the corresponding unit? I said, no, it's in the bag. I didn't install it this morning because I didn't want to cause any additional issues. He goes, okay. I said, see right here. And I lifted up my shirt to show him where the hole in my stomach was from the last one. And he goes, no, that's okay, sir. I don't need to see any skin. You can put your shirt down. You just got done rubbing and tugging me for 2 minutes. You don't want to see any skin?
He also doesn't want eye contact. He wants you to look straight at the ground.
That's right.
And squeal. Please, just start squealing.
The only thing you didn't do was lube me with the glove on. Jesus. These TSA
skin is too far. That's too far.
That's too far. No skin, sir. There's no champagne in the TSA room. These guys are so confusing. They send mixed signals. I need to sit down with Biden and have a talk.
Oh, I can't wait to go to TSA this weekend. Oh, it's going to be so exciting.
Oh, my God. Right? Yeah. Labor Day is going to be a confusing day. That's for sure. There's going to be laborious pat downs. Anywho, that's
the problem here is that they all know me because I fly so much.
Oh, yeah.
But coming home, hopefully, Yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. AML had a good weekend?
They had a great weekend. Over 1,500 fans.
Wow.
Filled this little, we sold, I mean, you couldn't even, they had no more tickets left. Mm-hmm. The shows went great. All the pre-tapes went great. You can watch it on titlematchnetwork.com. We had lightning strike the building, so they had no internet, so we couldn't live stream it. Ooh. But they were editing on spot and able to upload it. So it's going to be up there, and they'll put all the stuff. All the vignettes you see are all me producing it. And then the matches with the finishes and all that, it's all me producing and stuff. And I got to work hand in hand with Arn Anderson, who I looked up to as a wrestler, and now he's able to help me with the backstage stuff because he made the successful transfer from in-ring wrestler to backstage agent. And I got to work hand in hand with him, and he was giving me a lot of really good advice. Nice. And it was amazing. It was one of the best shows I've been to.
Nice. Good stuff. It's all good stuff. Let's jump into it, shall we, Bruiser?
Yes.
We have got some interesting stuff today, folks. We're going to talk a little bit about Avi Loeb. He's got a brand new interview out there today. Talking a little bit about why UFOs should be the subject of mainstream inquiry. We're also going to talk about some other UFO sightings around the country. Blue Moon. We'll be talking about that as well. We'll talk about how to look and see if AI is conscious. We'll give you little tips as to how you can find out if AI is actually conscious. Why AI is actually smarter than a college student.
Okay.
We'll talk about that as well today.
Speaking of AI, Tim, the day that we record this, because we always record a day early, today in 1997 is when Skynet becomes conscious and blows up the world. That's true. True. Yeah. So happy Terminator Day.
Yeah. Happy Terminator Day to you too, sir. We'll talk about why Edgar Allan Poe may be a time traveler. That's coming up in today's program. We've got your Parashare stories. And to end the program today, we've got a series of stories that are a little bit goofy, on the goofy side.
Okay.
We're going to talk Bigfoot and peanut butter. We're going to talk about why a UFO has a hot sauce ad on the side of it.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to talk about a naked wolf man that's running around Germany.
Well, they're always naked.
Well, yeah, you would think they're always naked. I mean, I haven't seen too many with clothes on, but we're going to talk about that as well. So we got a lot on tap today. So we're going to start it off with Avi Loeb. However, we're going to hit the high points of his interview because we've got a lot going on here today. But Avi Loeb sat down with The Guardian this week, and they asked him, the basic high-low questions that you would ask a Harvard University astrophysicist who's got his hands all over aliens. I mean, not like that, but,
Well, he might. It's Avi Loeb.
You never know. I mean, he really is into the thing. He might be that much into the thing. But they asked him, when it comes to UFOs, why is it always a government cover-up, and why don't astronomers see UFOs, and aren't they the people always looking up at the sky the most?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. He says the government would be a natural first to recognize anything unusual in the sky or in the crash sites because their day job is to worry about national security and to monitor the nearby environment. Astronomers always train their telescopes on very distant, slow-moving objects. They are not looking for anything fast-moving or nearby, so it's possible that if anything unusual happened, the U.S. government would notice it first.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't get, eggheads catching it first, I guess.
Because the government's already got it, intercept it, and won't let them see it.
That's true. They followed up by saying, but your Project Galileo to look for evidence of extraterrestrial technological artifacts aims to change that. And he says, but we built the first Galileo Project observatory at Harvard University, and we monitor the sky all the time in the infrared, optical, radio, and audio. We use machine learning software to figure out whether everything we see is either natural, birds or bugs, or human-made like balloons, drones, or airplanes, or maybe something else. The oceans in the sky are not classified. We can explore them scientifically. We don't need to wait for the government to declassify information. They asked him stuff like, what got you interested in UFOs and stuff like that, the basic stuff. They did ask him what made you organize a maritime expedition to trawl the Pacific Ocean. He cited, of course, and why he wanted to go after those spheres at the bottom of the ocean. He has a new book out there, by the way. It's called Interstellar, The Search for Extraterrestrial Life and Our Future Beyond Earth. It is out and available. We're going to try and get him on the program so that we can get a crack at him ourselves, so we can talk to him. They did ask him one question, which is fascinating, and that's this. You've received some pointed criticism for speaking on these topics. What do you think motivates that backlash? And here's what he cited for that.
I'm curious about this.
Academic jealousy.
Really?
Yeah.
So what I get by that is he's saying that the nerds are mad because he's finding it before they do.
Essentially. This is how he followed up with it. He said, they see the attention that my research is getting, and they try to step on this flower that rises above the grass level. My point is that science can be exciting if it resonates with the public's interest. The fact that the government cares about and talks about subjects that cannot be identified should make this a subject of inquiry within the mainstream of science. It's our civic duty as scientists to bring clarity using scientific instrumentation and methodology. Instead of ridiculing it or being jealous of the attention I am getting, scientists should be joining me in pursuing it. If we insist that anything we must see fit with past knowledge, we will never, ever learn something new. So that's one aspect of my book, Interstellar.
My question to him is, how come he's not part of this congressional committee? Why hasn't Congress? Because you'd say he's probably the forefront for leading researcher, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder why they haven't brought him in, especially with whistleblowers and stuff coming out now.
Well, there are quite a few experts that the government could easily bring in and wrap a lot of this up in a nice, tidy bow, but haven't.
Right.
And I have my theory on it, and then I have what I think they would say. My theory on it is if they did, they'd solve this problem real quick.
Okay.
And it's just too easy.
Yeah.
Their answer would probably be because the evidence is tainted when you bring those people in. Those people are already skewed. They want an impartial look at the issue. They want a skeptical, bordering on cynical look at what these things are in the sky. And,
instead of a scientific one, huh?
Well, you could argue that Avi Loeb is not necessarily an impartial eye in the sky. He's looking, but he's a believer.
Okay. He's not a skeptic. He wants there to be something.
Yeah. Yeah, and gotcha. he's definitely chasing the golden goose.
Right.
And he believes that what he's chasing is alien.
And the government doesn't want that. They want someone that has that's something there, but it's this or could be this.
Right. They want people thinking outside the box, not thinking in the regular stereotypical box. They want somebody to see a craft in the sky and to go, well, that's got to be the aliens from Zeta Reticuli. Of course. We've known that they've been there all along. They're used to that answer from us. They're used to these same old answers that we've been given for the last 30, 40 years. They don't want that. They want someone to think outside the box and say, well, this is where we think they're coming from. This is where, or this is a man-made object. This is really defense tech from the Soviets, or not Soviets, but from Russia. This is defense tech from Iran. China. This is defense tech from Cuba. This is being launched from a base underwater somewhere near, from outside of Guatemala. We don't know. But to come up with the actual proof and be able to set that proof in front of Congress and say we know exactly what happened, and to do it with a clean slate.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's why. Let's move on. Speaking of coming up with things from a clean slate, a wormhole of flashing lights over a UFO hotspot island baffles scientists. A clip appears to show mysterious fizzling or flashing lights in the skies over Catalina Island off the coast of Southern California, home to a number of UFO sightings over decades, including the movie Terror in the Sky.
Okay.
If you remember that movie.
Yeah.
Terrifying footage of a wormhole of flashing lights over a reported UFO hotspot island has left scientists baffled. A clip appears to show fizzling or flashing lights in the skies over Catalina Island off the coast of Southern California. Skies over the island and the wider coastal area have long been the subject of UFO speculation, with a number of reported sightings over the years. Experienced Air Force pilots have reported alleged UFO sighting in the form of bright lights of objects moving at speeds unachievable for man-made crafts. Last year, captains and a former F-18 pilot reported seeing lights moving in elongated circles or racetracks for hours high in the sky while they flew on routes from Japan and Hawaii. Now, footage shared by the History Channel shows more lights in the same area, with host Tony Harris explaining some of its background. He tells viewers the clip was captured on July 16th of 2021 when a group of scientists was on a week-long expedition near the island, adding shortly before 4 a.m., one of the motion direction cameras in night vision captured this. A photo then shows a foggy sky with the upper right-hand corner showing a seemingly clear patch containing a group of lights huddled together. Harris adds, researchers don't think they're mere stars. Matthew, I believe this is Zydagus, one of the researchers investigating the phenomena, calls the still very strange. Amid the growing number of sightings over and near Catalina Island, researchers have suggested the possibility of a wormhole or gateway giving extraterrestrial life access to Earth. Dr. Michio Kaku, a theoretical physics professor, argues that the sighting could be a gateway to other worlds. He's added that the cluster of lights could belong to a different universe. However, he also suggests the lights could be a fail streak, a phenomenon that forms these sites when water in the clouds suddenly freezes or evaporates. According to the log, Catalina official boating and fishing news publication, the earliest sighting near the island was in 1982, when a UFO sighting was reported by a family sailing to Catalina Island on June 15th of 1982. In the testimony cited in Mutual UFO Network's Witness Reporting Database, case 72642, the witness was sailing with his stepfather and mother to Catalina when, around 8 p.m., his mother yelled to look over the port side. The witness said, I looked and saw a huge lighted object moving fast under the water. It lasted around 5 minutes, just going from one side and then to the next in a crisscross pattern. We sailed west, moving away from it as it moved east. I never told anyone about this, nor did we talk about it. The object was 50 feet in a circle and as bright as more watts than I have ever seen, the witness said. My parents stopped sailing after that summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That much of an impact on them.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
That's pretty cool. It's happening over water and stuff, and I wonder where that wormhole goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a good question. Someone in the comments of the story says, no need to be terrified. It's just marsh gas or a balloon. I love people who are assholes in articles like this.
I'm surprised nobody said, well, it's the Catalina wine mixer. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. It's just one too many wine coolers. That's all it is. In another story here, a researcher believes that he's discovered a giant monolith on Mercury. 3 guesses as to who it is, Bruiser?
Well, it's not Avi. We already covered him.
Yeah, it's not Avi. No.
Is it the Spoonbender guy?
No. It's not Uri Geller.
Okay. The lead guy from Skinwalker Ranch. I forget his name.
No, it's not him. I'll tell you. I'll just save you the pain. It is our old friend Scott Seawaring.
All right.
Yeah. Renowned ufologist and virtual archaeologist Scott Seawaring has unveiled a startling find within a NASA image. Of course, he's been staring at images all day.
Well, yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah. In the photograph, he discerned a colossal monolith positioned at the heart of a crater. As part of the chart, the crater itself boasts a diameter slightly exceeding 20 kilometers. Most craters of this size typically reach depths of 3 to 4 kilometers. However, this particular crater, with its protruding monolith, appears to possess a height comparable to its depth, although in reality, the monolith only extends a few meters above the crater's rim. Scott Waring commented, "Today, while studying a NASA map, I stumbled upon a substantial monolith at the center of a crater on planet Mercury. The map's measurements indicate the crater spans just over 20 kilometers in width. Most craters of this magnitude usually exhibit a depth of 3 to 4 kilometers. With the presence of this monolith, it appears to match the same exact height, merely peeking over the edge by a few meters." Coincidence? Well, I have reservations about coincidences. My belief is grounded in empirical data, with photographs being a substantial form of evidence. He continued, "The age-old adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words, famously quoted by Henrik Ibsen, might be a considerable underestimation. This image transcends the value of thousands of millions of words, for even a vast library of books would prove insufficient to encapsulate the significance of this discovery." Waring asserts that this finding potentially substantiates the notion of ancient extraterrestrial existence within our solar system. With ancient anticipation, he anticipated forthcoming investigations that will delve deeper into the Mercury crater and its enigmatic monolith. As the mysteries of the cosmos unfold, who can predict that or what revelations await us in the near future?
That's interesting, since we just had, what was it, 2 years ago? Monoliths all over the world here. Now they're appearing on Mercury.
Well, yeah, supposedly. You know what? I'm going to show you this picture just between you and I. You tell me if this to you looks like a monolith.
No.
No, I'm underwhelmed. Most things that Scott C. Waring sees in pictures,
yeah,
I'm underwhelmed. I think
what that looks like to me is a boulder in the middle of the crater, and the sun shadow is hitting it at the right thing where it makes it look bigger than it is.
Here's a bigger picture.
Yeah, it looks like a crater.
I know.
It looks like a boulder in a crater. Because look right down, Tim, if you look right down to the left, there's the exact same image.
Yes, yeah, I know. I see it too, yeah.
So how come we didn't say there's two? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's the exact same pattern, the exact same thing. So I'm just assuming that's something, whatever made that crater left that indentation.
Now squint your eyes, look at the two of them together, and tell me you don't see a pair of tits.
Oh, God, yeah. There's some boobies there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But he doesn't see those, does he?
No. Well, why would he? He doesn't know what boobies are. he's looking at space pictures all day.
That's right. He's imagining monoliths, which tells you something else about him.
Yeah. See, you and I see mounds. He sees a monolith.
See? Just saying. Our next story is about a conspiracy theorist who has an explanation after Nibiru failed to destroy the Earth last week. I bet you didn't know this, Bruiser. We were supposed to be blown to bits.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Nibiru was supposed
to. But here we are.
Yeah, Nibiru was supposed to take us out. I bet you were blissfully unaware. I know you were planning for the big show last week, but...
I was blissfully unaware that Nibiru was supposed to wipe us out.
Yeah, we were supposed to be gone last week. He predicted Nibiru would hit Earth, telling his followers, "I am heading for the caves." That's my general slogan for everything.
Yeah.
I'm headed for the cave.
Head for the caves.
That's right. I'm a little depressed. Headed for the cave. And then...
well, at least he wasn't a suicide cult.
Yeah. You know. Yeah.
But I'm curious how he blows this off.
No idea. Although mine is, I'm yodeling in the cave, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyways.
I like being in the cave.
Yeah, I think we all do. Yeah.
Think there's a cave below those two monoliths there on Mercury?
Well, sometimes you need to slam your monolith in a cave, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You may have missed it last week, but according to one conspiracy theorist, a rogue planet should have smashed into Earth on Friday.
Wait, it was a rogue planet?
Yeah, Nibiru.
We have those now?
Nibiru is a rogue planet. You ever heard the legend of Nibiru?
No. Actually, I have not.
Never have?
No, this is news to me.
Really?
Isn't Nibiru in Star Wars? Isn't that where Jar Jar Binks is from?
No, that's not. No. Although that's a good one. It's a good one. No, You don't remember the old days of Art Bell when he talked about Nibiru, the non-existent planet?
Oh, yeah, okay. I remember that. I didn't know it was going to crash into us.
Yeah.
He never said that.
I'll give you a quickie here. Quickie lesson about Nibiru. I'll try to make it quick here. So it's linked to the close of the Mayan calendar. A variety of rumors started to spread regarding the ways the world could end back in 2012. One popular contender that was Nibiru, a supposed planet that some claimed would collide with the Earth at the end of the year. But despite the buzz, there was no scientific evidence supporting the alleged planet's existence. And of course, our planet survived 2012 without absorbing a massive impact. Nibiru has been linked to NASA by various bloggers. Because of this claimed connection, space agency officials put out a statement saying that no big planet was coming to destroy Earth in 2012. What follows is a true science and history of the supposed rogue planet with reference to a real object, Comet Elenin, I think it is what it is, that somehow got mixed up in the whole mess. Okay, so the story begins in 1976 when Zechariah Sitchin wrote The 12th Planet, a book in which, yes, it comes from fiction, a book in which Sitchin's own unique translation of Sumerian cuneiform to identify a planet, Nibiru, orbiting the sun every 3,600 years. Several years later, Nancy Leader, a self-described psychic, announced that the alien she claimed to channel had warned her that this planet would collide with Earth in 2003. After a collision-free year, of course, the date was moved back to 2012, where it was linked to the close of the Mayan long count period. When Comet Elenin appeared in 2011, many were concerned that it was a mysterious planet in disguise, despite the fact that the planets and comets appear very different under a telescope. A comet has a gas atmosphere called a coma and a tail, while a planet does not. But instead of slamming into the Earth, the comet strayed too close to the sun and broke into pieces. The leftover fragments will continue on their path to the outer solar system for the next 12,000 years. Still bits of comet and not a more cohesive planet. Proponents of the fictitious planet note that in 1984, a scientific paper was published in the astrophysical journal Letters, which discussed several infrared sources with no counterparts that turned up in a survey of the sky. Such surveys that are common in astronomy and usually involve follow-ups that individually detail the more interesting sources. In a follow-up in the 1984 survey, most of the sources turned out to be distant galaxies. So there was no planet.
Nope.
None were identified as planets, by the way. Both papers were available to the public, or are available at this time. A planet with an orbit so eccentric that it took 3,600 years to orbit the sun would create instabilities inside our 4.5 billion-year-old solar system, by the way. After only a few trips, its gravity would have significantly disrupted the other planets, whose own gravitational pushes would have changed the hypothetical world's orbit significantly. I don't have to go on and on more about Nibiru, but people still claim that Nibiru is this invisible planet that exists in our solar system, Bruiser.
And it's not. There's no planet, guys.
Yeah.
So what did this guy have to say? Because he thinks it was supposed to crash into us yesterday.
Yes.
Or last week, sorry.
Yeah. So Nibiru was supposed to take us out, and it wasn't for dinner. So let me grab this here. So with that, Mike Buckner announced that the end of the world was coming on Twitter. The apocalyptic soothsayer's medium of choice, of course, is Twitter. Buckner spent the week before Nibiru was meant to hit, warning as many people as he could to seek shelter, telling his audience few will survive, before one final "I am headed for the caves" tweet.
I hope you have Wi-Fi in your caves there, buddy.
Here's what it read. Are you ready for this? It was all in capital letters, too, as any good end of the world tweet will be.
Really serious. He's yelling with the caps lock.
Yes, he was. Okay. He was shouting with the caps lock, Bruiser. The final 24 hours of civilization. Nibiru approaches. The pole shift is coming. Floods, quakes, fires, mattress sales. I put the last one in there. Head for shelter, caves, bunkers. Alert your family, friends, neighbors. Few will survive. Mattresses. I don't know.
Sunday.
That's right. At the Metrodome. I am headed for the caves. Good luck, X.
He signed it too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was serious. As you have most certainly noticed, the world did not end on Friday. So, yeah.
How long did he stay in the cave, I wonder?
Probably 40 days and 40 nights. I don't know.
Because he obviously is out of the cave if he has to release a statement as to why this rogue planet didn't hit us.
Unless it was 3 days, 3 nights, they rolled the stone away and then he was gone. I don't know. I've heard that story somewhere before. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'll give myself one of these. There you go.
It must have been roasting. It was a hot one last week everywhere.
Caves are cool, though.
That's true. That's true.
It's probably a nice vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think he brought his wife and kids, or he leave them to die with the planet?
No, he probably left them to die with the planet. He doesn't seem like an upstanding guy.
Dear, where are you going? I'm going spelunking. I'll be back.
Spelunking. Going to look at stalagmites and stalactites. It's my
Never mind that rogue planet coming.
It's my annual cave watch.
What I love about people like this is you would think that if a rogue planet was coming at us, the news would cover it.
Oh, yeah, they'd be all over it. Yeah. You would see many anchors talking about Nibiru.
Hey, NASA's there's your sky's getting dark. Here's why.
Yeah, but of course there's no Nibiru. That's all there is to it. So, yeah. By the way, Mike Buckner followed up on Twitter. He did the honorable thing instead of just disappearing. So
instead of doing a Haley Bop thing, you just
yeah.
He didn't drink the cyanide. Okay.
He brought it down. He brought it down a notch. He turned off the caps lock this time.
Now it's all like real miniature letters.
Yeah, he did proper capitalization this time. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, "I thought I was right. I thought Nibiru was coming. The physics worked. No, it didn't.
What physics, man?
If the physics worked, we'd be dead.
Yeah.
What didn't work was my fundamental understanding of reality."
He really said that, or is that you saying that?
No, he said
that's
that.
Him?
Yeah, that's him. I'm reading straight from his tweet.
He admitted he's a kook.
Yep. He says,
"I'm sorry, the edible kicked in. My bad."
He says, "I now know the truth. We live on a flat plane." Oh, God. Oh. I hope he doesn't mean flat Earth.
He's going flat Earth, isn't he?
God, probably. He says, "We live underneath a firmament. The globalists lie for control. More to come."
He just wants to. He's trying to get Twitter famous.
No, he means flat Earth. Look, this is the diagram he put up.
Oh.
And then he has this beyond the ice wall crap.
What the hell is an ice wall?
That the ice wall is what surrounds the Earth on a flat Earth theory.
Okay, so no boats have crashed into it.
No, he claims if you go too far, then you hit the ice wall.
That's what, dude, you do that. Get on your boat.
That's what keeps you from...
Go find a cave in the ice wall.
That's what keeps you from falling off the Earth is the ice wall,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd fall off and then you'd fall into space and then you'd just, you'd sail your boat into, I don't know, the monolith on Mercury. I have no idea.
He really doesn't understand that if that's true, there's an ice wall around Earth, that every time it rains, it would fill up. And the Earth's been around for so long that it would eventually fill up and we'd all die. We'd be water world.
Well,
then our cup was running over.
Yeah, well, can't teach all the kids.
I apologize to any flat earthers out there, but come on.
I was just up in an airplane this past weekend. It still looked like it had a horizon to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be my bifocals.
I've flown around the world, so.
Yeah. Did it look flat to you?
No.
No, never does.
No.
It's funny.
I've never thought it was flat since Galileo's days.
Yeah. Maybe it's an optical illusion.
I like how we're supposed to believe this guy now after he totally just admitted he was a kook.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm a kook, but guess what? Flat Earth."
More to come.
More to come.
So, like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Gosh.
Yeah. Gotta love it when the kids play with the mushrooms. Just saying. Gotta love it. One more story, I believe, here before break. A rare blue supermoon is coming.
Ooh, right. I like blue moon ice cream.
And it's tonight.
I love blue moon ice cream.
I do, too.
You know, it's only a Midwest thing.
Is it the same as Blue's Clues ice cream?
No.
They're different?
Yes.
How so?
Blue's Clues, I believe, has candy in it.
Oh, right.
Blue Moon does not.
Okay. So
but like I said, that's only a Midwest thing. I can't get blue moon out here.
Really?
Yeah. No, everyone looks at me like, what do you mean a blue moon? Like up in the sky? Like, no, like blue ice cream.
Yeah.
Superman's not a thing out here either.
Really? You can't get Superman ice cream out there?
Nope.
What kind of communist nation do you live in?
The South, man.
You can't get Superman ice cream. You can't get Blue Moon ice cream.
Yep.
What do they have? Vanilla?
Oh, they got good ice cream. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I remember going into an ice cream shop and asking for Blue Moon. They looked at me like I farted in church. Then I asked for the Superman one. They're like, we don't have any superheroes. They're like,
but if you told them they had a Captain America one, they'd make it for you.
Probably.
Yeah. Huh.
Because they're Marvel fans, not DC fans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was just craving Blue Moon the other day and went to go find it. Couldn't find it.
They didn't have it.
It's a Midwest thing, man.
I guess. But this rare blue supermoon, biggest and brightest full moon of the year. I pulled out a full moon on MJ Dixon's camera at Michigan Paracon this past weekend. It's the first time I've mooned a camera in years.
Felt good too, didn't it?
Oh, it did. My bare ass to the wind, let me tell you.
I love mooning cameras and
it's fun.
pictures of being mooned, and I have many pictures on my phone of me being mooned or me mooning somebody else.
The only problem is now somebody has my bare ass on camera.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. My bare ass is everywhere. My bare ass has been on national TV.
Well, there's that. Yeah. That's right. You one up me there. Yeah.
That's why I tan.
I am not tan on that part of my body. It just looks like that.
Mine looks like that monolith picture there.
Mine looks like that big ass bright full moon you're going to see tonight in the sky. There's no tan to it whatsoever. The closest, brightest full moon of 2023 is also the second full moon in August. So you'll be able to see it. Here's how. Basically, don't get under a cloud. That's the first way to say it. Yeah, go out to the country. Don't try and see it in the city. There's all kinds of ways. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know.
Go outside, look up.
Yes. The second type of blue moon, called a seasonal blue moon, describes the third full moon of 4 during one astronomical season. This occurs when a calendar year has 13 full moons instead of the typical 12. A lunar year, which is 12 orbits of Earth by the moon, takes 354 days, while Earth's solar year is 365 days. The next seasonal blue moon, by the way, which also happens every 2 or 3 years, will occur on August 19th of 2024.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to wait.
Well, take some pictures.
Yeah. Take a picture. It'll last longer.
Take some pictures of the moon.
That's right. Next full moon will be the harvest moon on September 29th. In addition to being one of the best known full moons of the year, it's also the last super moon in 2023.
Those are always fun moons to go out and look to.
Yeah.
Them and blood moons.
Yes, sir. So there you go. That's your moon update. I'm Tim Dennis.
Mooning you as always.
That's right. Giving you the moon. I'm Tim Dennis.
Tune in September when we cover the harvest moon.
That's right. I feel like I should be giving you those taglines that I used to do, like back when I was in radio. That's your moon update. I'm Tim Dennis.
Tune in next week.
Showing you my moon. I'm Tim Dennis. We're going to take our break. When we come back,
we're not mooning anybody.
No, we're keeping our moon in our pants. AI and AI, AIAIO. We'll talk about Edgar Allan Poe. Was he a time traveler? That's coming up next. Controversial new AI app is out there, by the way, as well. We'll talk about that. Do you want to text with Jesus and Satan?
No.
Well, you'll be able to. We'll talk about that when we come back. Got some spooky stories as well. We're going to your old home state. There's a mysterious black animal out there. And I've got plenty of jokes about that. We've also got, let's see here. Oh boy, we've got ghosty stories today as well from the paranormal for the week that was.
Okay.
And like I said, we're gonna have some paranormal funny stories at the end of the hour today. And
the Parashare too, sir.
Yes, we've got Parashare. Oh, you know what? I've got an alien Parashare story before we go to break. You know what? Let's not go to break yet. By the way, if you have a Parashare story for us, it's real simple. You just either type it out with your two little fingers, if you punch out with two fingers on a keyboard, punch it out on a one of them there computers or on a typewriter. I don't care how you do it. And send it by email, tim@darknessradio.com. I'd be impressed if you could do it on a typewriter and email it to me. Or you go to darknessradioshow.com. You can leave us a voice note. There's a little blue button on the right-hand side there. And you just click on that blue button. You get 2 minutes to leave us a voice note. If you need more time, click on that blue button again. Leave another 2 minutes. I'll stitch them together. Remember to pick up where you left off on that second time you click that blue button. Yes. Don't repeat your first message on that second 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to get all confused and I'll be running around tearing out what's left of my hair. But continue leaving that message on the second 2 minutes. I'll stitch that together and we will put that message together and we'll air it right here on the program so we can hear your lovely voice telling your story as it is, your Parashare story. We'd like to hear some of your voice notes. That'd be kind of fun.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems like one of the things you could do as well. So again, you can either type out your story, send it to tim@darknessradio.com, or you can go to darknessradioshow.com and you can send us your voice note. That would be very, very cool. We got some videos from Marky Mark. And I tell you what, he says, hey guys, here are those UAP videos I promised in my Parashare. Hopefully they'll transfer via email in good enough quality for you to check out. Post them if you want. It will only let me send one at a time, so look for 3 more of these. The 2 with the Twilight Sky are from my second story, and the 2 are in complete darkness belong to the last story. Okay, here I have the UFO story from Mark. Okay, so the story from Mark. First, he says, first off, just wanted to say happy birthday to my fellow August birthday boy, Tim. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Hope you had an exciting birthday weekend. I did, or relaxing if that's what you were going for. Also, hoping Papa Bruiser's doing better. Thoughts and prayers to the Bruiser family. Well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
With all the talk lately of UFOs, UAPs, or whatever the title du jour is now, I thought I might as well dive into some of my numerous sightings that I have happened throughout my life. I won't go back to my childhood or include any that had a logical explanation, but I'll present a few interesting ones that I've seen in more recent years. Sorry, there will be no UFO landings or alien abductions included here. This one's called Not So Close Encounters of the First Kind.
Okay.
I first moved to the small town where I live when I was almost 12. When I was old enough to get my license, I would take late night drives into the country. One night when I was on a drive south of town, I saw several orange lights appearing, dropping down and then disappearing. Later, when telling someone about this, I was informed that the military base located 15 miles south of town had been doing war game exercises that weekend, and that what I had seen had only been flares that they had used to light up the field. I only include this to point out the fact that I now know what flares look like and how they behave. Orange spheres are by far the dominant anomaly to see in my area, along with faraway star-like lights. My first story happened around 10 or 12 years ago. I left my house one night just after dark to drive across town to my parents' house. I was heading west towards the center of town when I saw one of these orange lights. My first thought was I wasn't going to be fooled again by a flare, even though it appeared to be right over the center of town. As I approached, I noticed that it was not descending, but rather heading south across my path. As I drew near and came to a stop sign, a city police truck slowly crossed the intersection as if tracking the thing. I waited for the officer to drive away a bit and then pulled onto a side road where I had a good view of the object. I parked and got out with my phone in my hand. At this time, unfortunately, I still only had a flip phone, so it was very hard to get a decent shot of it or even to find it on the screen, even though it was almost right above me. When I gave up on trying to get a video of it, I pulled down my phone to find it again with my own eyes, which took me a few seconds to do so. As the object was now heading away from me, instead of a ball of light, it was now a dim outline. The best way I can describe it would be if you were a ways back facing the front of a car at night with no headlights on, and then the person in the car pushed down on the brakes so you could see a red outline of the car. It moved away from me so fast that in less than 10 seconds, it had flown into a cloud bank that was all the way on the horizon to the west. My last two stories are video daily doubles. I have 2 short videos of each, which I will attach to a separate email, since the videos are on my phone and I'm typing this up on my parents' computer. For the last several years, whenever I have some spare time, I take orders for DoorDash. It inevitably takes me out into the countryside at night, giving me ample opportunity to get a clear look at the night sky. On the night of September 29th, 2020, I was sitting in the parking lot of a Target facing a Best Buy across the highway, waiting for an order. It was the night of the first presidential debate. I was having an internal debate myself on whether or not I should listen to it and get a few laughs. It was around 7:40 p.m., and the debate started at 8 o'clock. I decided to make a call. On the phone, and not paying much attention, I vaguely noticed an orange flickering light, like a candle flame with no candle, rising up from behind the Best Buy across the highway in the west, and beginning to move in a southeast direction across the highway, and finally out of view. It wasn't until I saw the exact same thing happen again that I said, "I'll call you back," and hopped out of my car. I got a video of the second light moving across the highway, and to my surprise, the very second it went out of sight to the east, a third object started the same journey. It was like watching Pac-Man disappearing into the tunnel on the left side of the screen, only to see him shoot back in from the right. This third object got a little longer video of. The only difference with the last light was that about halfway through its path, it turned and headed due south. My final story for today happened just last year on August 14th. Thank God for timestamps. Oftentimes, when I would take my midday break from work, I would head over to my parents' house, as they have a small gym in their basement, so I could work out and have my lunch before returning to work. This day was no different. While I was eating, I turned on the TV, and a random paranormal show was on. It featured a guy who said he could summon UFOs at will, and had video as evidence. This idea stayed with me throughout the day, but being busy, I didn't have any time to give it much thought. As the day went on, my phone started acting funny and slowing way down, which was a problem because as a DoorDasher, I need my phone to get orders. It was getting late and nearing the end of my night. I dropped off an order about a mile or so north of town in a marshy wooded area. Suddenly, my phone completely locked up. It was frozen and not even the power button would work. I pulled over near a swampy pond to fiddle with it, but to no avail. Then I remembered the man from TV and decided that I couldn't work anymore. I might as well give his technique a shot. I did what he said, and basically was to focus on one part of the sky and ask them to show themselves. After a few minutes of nothing, I decided to call it quits on that endeavor and turn back to my phone. I couldn't have it break on me now, as I needed the money to get by. Help me, I uttered audibly. That very instant, my phone went dark and then rebooted, working perfectly again. I'm not saying I got some kind of otherworldly help with my phone, but the timing was incredible. In reality, it was probably some sort of fail-safe reboot built into the phone. With my phone once again working properly, I headed south, back to town. As I approached, I began to notice a familiar orange light up ahead of me in the distance on the left. I then realized that this was in the same spot that I had been looking at for my little science experiment. I pulled into a parking lot on the west side of the highway and observed the light hovering behind the target across the street. And yes, that's the same target I was parked in for my previous story. I was just on the other side of the road. I pulled out my phone and began recording. In the video, it appeared to have something under it like an appendage or maybe a beam of light protruding down for a little ways, like a big luminous jellyfish in the sky. As soon as it began recording, it moved from my field of vision to behind some trees and it stopped. I pulled my car forward so that I could see it again, and again began recording. On cue, it began moving again to a place where I could no longer see it. Take a look at the videos and tell me what you think. They aren't the best quality as it was zoomed in so much and I stupidly used Snapchat to record them. Now I only use my camera since the quality is much better. My thoughts on these lights are not extraterrestrial in nature. I have a hard time believing that given all the factors it takes just to have an intelligent life evolve and survive on this planet, that there would be another close enough for them to directly visit. Rather, I believe there are more closely related to orb phenomena. I'm not sure why people separate the two. It would be like if a bird flew down your chimney and I said, "Holy shit, a bird just flew into your house," just to have you reply, "Don't be stupid, birds fly through the sky." Which is kind of a weird analogy, but okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, check out the links on my second email and give your thoughts. Keep up the great work, guys. Well, I tell you what, Mark, I've got your emails here and I've got your videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post these in our blog section.
Okay.
So that people can see it at darknessradioshow.com.
Okay. And they can get their own views.
Yeah, and I'll post the story so they can follow along, so they'll see what they can see versus what's posted with the stories.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that he right off the bat goes, yes, it's by a military. This is the war games. These are what flares look like. So he knew right off the bat. People would say, "Oh, they're flares."
Yeah. And not flares like woo, but flares like yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's take our break. When we come back, we're fiercely behind, folks. But when we come back, we've got much more, a lot more. We're going to talk Bigfoot. We're going to talk Loch Ness Monster and the hunt for Nessie. And we're going to talk about Bigfoot and peanut butter. And we're going to talk about why UFOs have hot sauce ads on the side of them. Much more. It's all coming up on a Supernatural News Wednesday right here on the Best in Paranormal Programming. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the Best in Paranormal Programming. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there is the Beer City Bruiser. Together we're known as the Bruiser and Bruiser.
And don't worry, it's not a rogue planet. It's just me pulling my pants up.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sorry. I mistook one moon for another. Didn't mean to. Yeah, you don't have to. It's okay, ladies. It's not. It's not a moon to swoon over. It's just a moon to sit under and have a picnic.
If the ladies want to swoon over my moon, they can. That's okay.
That's true. Speaking of a moon you shouldn't swoon over, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's time for Nightmare Fuel. Bruiser, how do we know if AI is conscious?
We just should assume it is.
Oh.
It wants to kill us.
Okay. It's always conscious, right?
Yeah. It's plotting our demise right now as we speak.
Okay. The end. Next story.
We're good.
Yep.
End the story.
Well, it turns out there's a checklist derived from 6 different neuroscience-based theories of consciousness, and it could aid in the assessment. It's kind of like HAL 9000 from... I'm not going to go into the whole thing here, but I'll give you just a quick breakdown here. To answer this, a group of 19 neuroscientists, philosophers, and computer scientists have come up with a checklist of criteria that, if met, would indicate that a system has a high chance of being conscious. They published their provisional guide earlier this week in the AR-10-4 preprint repository ahead of peer review. The authors undertook the effort because it seemed like there was a real dearth of detailed, empirically grounded, thoughtful discussion of AI consciousness, says co-author Robert Long, a philosopher at the Center for AI Safety, which is a research nonprofit organization in San Francisco, California. The team says that a failure to identify whether an AI system has become conscious has important moral implications, and complications for that matter.
Yeah, death of the human race.
Yeah, exactly. If something has been labeled conscious, according to co-author Megan Peters, a neuroscientist at the University of California, Irvine, that changes a lot about how we as human beings feel that entity should be treated. Long adds that as far as he can tell, not enough effort is being made by the companies building advanced AI systems to evaluate the models for consciousness and make plans for what to do if that happens. And that's in spite of the fact that if you listen to remarks from the heads of leading labs, they do say that AI consciousness or AI sentience is something that they wonder about, he adds. Nature reached out, that's the journal Nature, nature.com, reached out to 2 of the major technologically firms. I knows my science. Involved in advancing AI, which was Microsoft and Google. A spokesperson for Microsoft said that the company's development of AI is centered on assisting human productivity in a responsible way rather than replicating human intelligence. What's clear since the introduction of GPT-4, which is the most advanced version of ChatGPT released, at least publicly, is that the new methodologies are required to assess the capabilities of these AI models as we explore how to achieve the full potential of AI to benefit society as a whole. At least that's what that spokesperson said as they talked out of both sides of their mouth. Google, by the way, didn't respond at all. They just stayed quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. They go on about what's consciousness and theory-heavy approaches and blah, but you get the idea.
I do.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, it's going to kill us.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, there's that, too. I mean, as they're stomping on your skull, you can worry about whether it's conscious or not.
Yeah. Like, does it know it's doing this to me? Does it know it's hurting me?
Does it care that it's hurting me? Is it consciously crushing my skull? And is it conscious of the fact that it's hurting me? Is it conscious of the fact that it has feelings about it's consciously committing a crime? Are we
conscious knowing that it's consciously giving me a recipe for mustard gas that I'm supposed to drink, or chlorine?
Oh, mustard gas bouillabaisse. You might get that when you're in New Orleans.
Oh, I'll look for it.
Mustard gas bouillabaisse.
I avoid AI at all costs.
That sounds delicious. Mustard gas bouillabaisse. Just saying. Oh, by the way, Bruiser, guess what?
More nightmare fuel?
Yeah. AI can achieve better grades than university students with assignments on a range of subjects, including computer science and political studies.
Yeah, because it can lie and cheat.
Oh, I don't know. When you see enough man on the street videos, I think it's just plain smarter than most of our students.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But like, students can't go off and like look stuff up and cheat. They have to use their books and knowledge and all that. AI can look stuff up and cheat.
Well, there's that too, yeah. New research found Sam Altman's ChatGPT matched or performed better than students when answering assessment questions. Subjects where the model outperformed youngsters included computer science, political studies, engineering, and psychology. That's right. Great. It can out-psych you.
It's going to gaslight us now.
That's right. That would make a great t-shirt. I was gaslit by AI.
Gaslighted by AI.
Yep. Hey, maybe that should be one of our new shirts.
I like it.
I was gaslit by AI. Subjects where the model outperformed youngsters. Oh, I said that already. I'm gonna get gaslit by AI. I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah.
Better be careful. AI might come to read these stories.
That's right. AI is gonna take over for me, I think. I'm gonna be the first one to go. They're gonna take my job first. You're going to have an AI host before you know it. The report was published in Scientific Reports, found almost 3/4 of students surveyed, 74%, would use ChatGPT to help with their assignments, despite 70% of educators viewing it as plagiarism. ChatGPT, a chatbot that can provide detailed prose responses and engage in human-like conversation using prompts, burst into the public consciousness following its release in November of last year. Can you believe that? It hasn't even been a year yet.
I was going to say, and look at all the stories we've gotten in that last year.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. This is insane.
It hasn't been.
In fact, the guy even said, remember the guy said, hey, you need to slow down with this. Mm-hmm. It's not even a year old.
Yeah.
This little baby's going to kill us in the next couple of years, I'm telling you.
That's right. It's not even going to be a toddler, and it's going to kill us.
Yep.
In the research, faculty members on 32 courses at the New York University, Abu Dhabi. NYU has an Abu Dhabi chapter?
I guess so. I just learned that now.
Yeah. Provided 3 student submissions, each for 10 assessment questions. ChatGPT was also asked to produce 3 sets of answers to the 10 questions, which were then assessed alongside the students' responses by 3 blind graders. I believe they're the ones who passed me through college, the 3 blind graders. Mm-hmm.
How do they grade if they're blind? Oh, it's in Braille. Okay, gotcha.
No. The findings showed...
Audio, gotcha.
Yes, it was all in audio. The findings showed ChatGPT generated answers achieved a similar or higher average grade than students in 12 of the 32 courses, with maths and economics the only 2 disciplines where students consistently outperformed AI.
Why don't we get the nerdiest of nerds to go up against AI? I'm assuming they just chose volunteers. They should have went to the nerdiest of nerds.
Do you know why it was math and economics that they beat AI?
Why?
Because it was that fucked up new math. That's why. Not even AI knows how to figure that shit out.
That's true.
That's the only reason they won at that deal.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that new math. The gap in performance between ChatGPT and the students was much smaller on questions requiring high levels of intelligence and knowledge and cognitive process compared to those requiring intermediate levels.
Oh, geez.
Isn't that fun? ChatGPT only outperformed the students on questions requiring factual knowledge.
Yeah, because it could look it up. It could cheat.
As opposed to skills like creativity, and struggled most in comparison to students where trick questions were included in the assignment. According to the report, there was a general consensus among educators and students that the use of ChatGPT in schoolwork should be acknowledged. Students also agreed that in their future job, they would be able to outsource mundane tasks to ChatGPT, allowing...
No. Remember the lawyer that did that?
Yeah. Remember how successful he was? Allowing them to focus on substantive and creative work. I have a hard time saying substantive. I don't find anything substantive with this. Talal Rawin and Yasir Zaki, computer science professors at NYUAD, who led the project, said AI tools such as ChatGPT have already reached a level where they can outperform students in a considerable number of university-level courses. That's sad.
That's very sad.
That's just laziness. Moreover, as our survey indicates, the majority of students intend to use such tools to solve homework assignments. These findings suggest that evaluating students through homework assignments may no longer serve its purpose in the age of AI, raising a serious challenge for educational institutions worldwide.
So they're going to eliminate homework?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Why couldn't I have done that 20-some years ago when I was in school?
Right. Mr. Rowan and Mr. Zaki added that educational institutions need to urgently craft appropriate academic integrity policies as a means of regulation. Two tools used for identifying AI-generated text also struggled to correctly state the origin of the assignments in the research. So that can't even keep up.
No. Yeah. Come on, youth of America, step up.
I don't get what the point is. If it can't keep up, with knowing the origin of who came up with the answer, and students can't come up with the answer on their own, and
there's no point in having it.
And you're dumbing down the pool of students, and they're not motivated to want to learn the answer.
Right.
Then what are we doing in college?
Yeah.
Why not save your money?
It's a good question.
You know, I mean,
what I don't get is how can AI not source where they get the answer from? If AI goes through like all these files to figure out this answer, it should be able to source. Oh, Einstein said this in this date. Otherwise, it's just making it up.
Einstein said 77 years ago.
My question is, how did they find these students too? Is this a voluntary program? Did they take the top of the class and say, "Hey, you have to do this"? Because it sounds like it was just a voluntary thing, and these kids are like, "Well, hey, we get free coffee and free donuts. We're college students. We're poor. Let's just phone this in. It doesn't matter either way." You know what I mean?
Well, let me see here. Is there something saying where they pulled the students from?
Because if I was doing this, I would take the top 3-4 students at NYU and pay them to go do this test.
I don't think this was bottom of the barrel as far as students goes.
I'm not saying bottom of the barrel. I'm saying they asked for volunteers, so you're not getting the best of the best. You're getting the average middle road student who wants to get out of something.
I seem to remember reading that one of the people who tested into this program was one of the top 30% of students in the school.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, glad my daughter doesn't go to NYU then.
But it still is mind-boggling. I mean, you hear every year the statistics that the requirements for our children to test out of their grade become less and less strict.
Right.
Whereas, when we were young, what would have been required of us was knowledge-wise was probably twice as strict as what they have to know in order to test out of that grade.
What happened was college became a business.
Yes. Yeah.
It didn't become a source of learning. It became a business.
Right.
We need more students in here for more income.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is a for-profit business.
And I believe NYU is a state school, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So they're definitely going to, you know what I mean? Because they're not that private school. So
yeah.
It's sad for the state of our colleges now.
Yeah.
Our academia.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Let's switch gears here. We had Mike Ricksecker on a few weeks ago. And by the way, I've gotten so many emails about that show and how much people enjoyed that show on time travels through time. And I want to thank everybody for the nice correspondence on that show. I ran across an article here to follow up on that show. 3 moments that might convince you that Edgar Allan Poe was a time traveler. In the case of Poe, it was his fiction that was, stranger than fiction here. The author of the article, who is Jake Offenhartz, I believe is what his name is. That sounds so fake, I know.
It does.
It doesn't sound like a real name. He says,
a pen name.
Yeah, he says, I'm pretty positive that Edgar Allan Poe had or has the power to travel through time. He says, hear me out on this one. It's not just the well-known circumstances of his life, orphaned at a young age, father of the mystery novel, master of cryptology, maestro of the macabre, nor am I referring to the head-scratching details of the days leading up to his death, how he was found on the street near a voting poll wearing someone else's clothes, and during his subsequent hospitalization, he was alleged to babble incoherently about an unidentified person named Reynolds. And I won't even get into the confounding reports of a nameless figure who, for 7 decades, would show up to Poe's gravesite in the early hours of his birthday with a glass of cognac and 3 roses. To suggest that that's him time traveling, I think, is a little out there.
I think so, too. It could just be a fan also.
Right.
Or a group of fans.
Right. Tragic and curious, yes, but hardly evidence that the acclaimed horror writer could transcend the limits of space and time. No, my time travel theory concerns the author's creative input, he writes, which you'll soon see is so flukishly prophetic as to make my outlandish claim seem plausible, nay, probable, he says. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is a loosely linked map of flesh-eating floaters, crunched skull survivors, and a primordial particles. He says, okay, here we go. He gives, Exhibit A as the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, published in 1838. Poe's only completed novel details a mutiny of a whaling ship lost at sea. Out of supplies, the men revert to cannibalism, drawing straws to elect a sacrifice. A boy named Richard Parker draws the shortest straw and is subsequently eaten. Now, here's where it gets weird or weirder. In 1884, 46 years after the novel's publication, 4 men would be set adrift following the sinking of their yacht. Shipwrecked and without food, they too would go the survival cannibalism route, electing to kill and eat a 17-year-old cabin boy. That boy's name was Richard Parker. The extraordinary parallel went unnoticed for nearly a century until a widely circulated letter from a descendant of the real Parker outlined the similarities between the novel's scene and the actual event. The letter was selected for publication in the Sunday Times after journalist Arthur Kessler put out a call for the tales of striking coincidence. Striking indeed. Exhibit B.
I think Exhibit A is happy coincidence. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Because they can go with that soccer team that crashed in the mountains and they had to eat each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Exhibit B is the businessman. In 1848, a railroad worker named Phineas Gage suffered a traumatic brain injury after taking an iron spike through the skull.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's not an easy pain to get rid of.
No.
Somehow he survived, though. His personality would change drastically. These behavioral changes were closely studied, allowing the medical community to develop the first understanding of the role played by the frontal lobe on social cognition, not recognition, but cognition. Except for Poe, who'd inexplicably understood the profound personality changes caused by frontal lobe syndrome nearly a decade earlier. In 1840, he penned a characteristically gruesome story called The Businessman, about an unnamed narrator who suffers a traumatic head injury as a young boy, leading to a life of obsessive regularity and violent sociopathic outbursts. Poe's grasp of frontal lobe syndrome is so precise that neurologist Eric Altshuler wrote, "There's a dozen symptoms and he knows every single one. There's everything in that story. We've hardly learned anything more." Altshuler, who, to reiterate, is a medically licensed neurologist and not at all a crackpot, went on to say it's so exact that it's just weird, like he's had a time machine.
Yeah, but he's creative, and getting hit in the head and changing your personality. I mean, you also got to think too. When Poe was alive was the time of Jack the Ripper.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
That was being tossed around too. You know, brain damage and causing someone to go crazy and kill prostitutes. You know.
Yeah. Exhibit C is called Eureka.
Okay.
All right. Still unconvinced, Bruiser? It sounds like you are.
I'm the second one. Is a little more convincing than the first. So let's hopefully this one he wins me over.
Okay. What if we told you that Poe predicted the origins of the universe 80 years before modern science would begin to formulate the Big Bang Theory? Surely an amateur stargazer with no formal training in cosmology could not accurately describe the machinery of the universe, rejecting widely held inaccuracies while solving a theoretical paradox that had bewildered astronomers since Kepler. Except that's exactly what happened. The prophetic vision came in the form of Eureka, a 150-page prose poem, critically panned for its complexity and regarded by many as the work of a madman. Written in the final year of Poe's life, Eureka describes an expanding universe that began in one instantaneous flash derived from a single primordial particle. Poe goes on to put forth the first legitimate solution to Olber's paradox, the question of why, given the vast number of stars in the universe, the night sky is dark, by explaining that light from the expanding universe had not yet reached our solar system. When Edward Robert Harrison published Darkness at Night in 1987, he credited Eureka as having anticipated his findings. In an interview with Nautilus, not the guy who made the, equipment, Italian astronomer Alberto Cappi speaks of Poe's prescience, admitting it's surprising that Poe arrived at his dynamically evolving universe because there was no observational or theoretical evidence suggesting such a possibility. No astronomer in Poe's day could imagine a non-static universe. But what if Poe wasn't of a day at all, but of all the days? What if his written prophecies on the cannibalistic demise of Richard Parker, the symptoms of frontal lobe syndrome, and the Big Bang Theory were merely reportage from his journey through the extratemporal continuum? Interesting questions.
Yeah, but the third one can also be described because back then religion was a big thing, and we all know God created the earth in 7 days. So basically it came from nothing to God creating the world. Poe could have taken that as, one day God opened his eyes and created the world. You know what I mean?
True.
So there's your snap. There's your boom, your big bang.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I'm not trying to be skeptical, but I'm just, I can see, but I think he's kind of reaching on a couple.
It takes all kinds. And there's...
You also got to think who he was hanging out and having conversations with in those pubs back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it wasn't like it was just all drunks and stuff. Like back then you had scientists, you had authors, you had poets, you had learned men all hanging out at the same place, drinking and sharing stories. And he was a very famous alcoholic.
And he had, and he had a very learned mind too.
Yes. So, and he surrounded himself with people. So
yeah, very much so. Let's move on. A controversial new AI app. I know I should have probably read this with the AI stuff. So you know what? I'll give you one of these. There you go. You'll get one of these.
All right.
A controversial new AI app allows you to text with Jesus and Satan, Bruiser.
Didn't we have this app before where we could text with old relatives and all that?
Well, this was with famous historical figures.
Wasn't Jesus and Satan in famous historical figures?
Sure, but this is more of a biblical sense.
Okay.
Right. It's not every day that the spiritual realm intersects with smartphone tech, but in the era of chatbots and AI, even the biblical figures aren't immune. Welcome to the world of text with Jesus.
I'm so happy that we're giving AI Jesus and Satan. Like, hey, you can choose good or evil.
I can't believe it's called Text with Jesus. I was told a lot of times about my humor, you're going to hell.
Yeah,
but the people who built this thing, yeah, you're going to hell.
Because of the text with Jesus. I can see the late night commercial now.
That's right.
You sitting at home, are you lonely? Are you downtrodden? Are you having some problems? Well, we got the perfect thing for you. Text with Jesus.
This just sounds like a bad SNL bit.
Yeah.
Text with Jesus, where you're just a tap away from a conversation with the holy, and for a price, the not so holy. That's right, you have to pay more to talk to Satan.
Well, that's how it would be in real life.
That's true, you have to pay with your immortal soul.
Jesus is here no matter what. Satan, you gotta give him something.
That's right. Deepening faith through text with Jesus for those longing with a more personal connection to their faith. This app might be the digital salvation that they're seeking. Designed with devoted Christians in mind, Text with Jesus promises interaction with figures like Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Peter, and Matthew. This app wears its spirituality on its screen, guiding you through its queries with responses mined from the depths of the Bible's rich text.
Oh, great.
Those conversations do go beyond tradition in the app. It says here, if you're ready for this, there's a certain audacity in allowing you to go beyond the traditional interactions one might expect, although the full range of figures and unlimited messaging are only available to premium subscribers. God, this sounds so cheap. The app is free to download and in use on all eligible devices. Oh, God, here comes the sales pitch. By shelling out just $2.99 a month, you can embark on a journey through some of the Bible's most intricate dialogues, like Adam and Eve's narrative or the dawn of humanity.
Great.
The devil, by the way, is in the details here, Bruiser. The app's most controversial feature is, of course, Satan. The app's more controversial feature is conversations with Satan himself. Expectations can be deceiving, especially in the world of AI. Satan historically is the symbol of temptation and deceit, and dons a surprisingly mellow avatar in this app.
Until AI gets conscious and is like, oh, I'm Satan, I can kill people. Give me your soul.
Users anticipating fiery dialogues or cunning deceptions may be left scratching their heads by this version of Satan. Instead, the Prince of...
Great. Satan's going to come back and kill people because they made him look like a pussy.
Oh, he's just your evil ex-boyfriend.
Who created this app?
Instead, the Prince of Darkness champions love, respect, and understanding, values synonymous with biblical virtues.
Well, I wonder if so it uses the Bible for the Jesus side of it. Does it use the Satanic Bible for the Satan side of it?
That's a very good question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's only fair, right?
Yeah. It says, as if to ensure a modern flavor, each devilish interaction ends with a smiling face with horns emoji.
Is there a discount if you're Jewish?
That's a good question. Well, maybe you get to talk to Abraham. I don't know. It says here it's an odd mix of solemnity and sass, which will undoubtedly spark reactions from traditionalists and tech enthusiasts alike. Now, whether it's a deliberate attempt to change perceptions or just a programming oversight remains a topic for debate. However, it's important to note that interaction with Satan is turned off by default. It must be manually enabled by you if you choose to engage with this figure. The app points out that the portrayal rooted in Christian teachings, and users have full control over their engagement with all figures within the app. Beyond its novelty, Text with Jesus opens up a dialogue on the evolving nature of faith in our increasingly digital world. For some, it might offer solace in moments of solitude, providing scripture-based advice at the touch of a button. For others, it may serve as a curious exploration into how technology can shape and transform, and even distort ancient teachings. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait for that Chat GPT to start distorting Bible verses. I mean, that'll be fun. The quote here is, our app is a tool for exploration, education, and engagement with biblical narratives and it is not intended to replace or mimic direct communication with divine entities, which is a deeply personal aspect of one's faith, the app creators say on their website. The AI-powered app does not claim to provide actual divine insights or possess any form of divine consciousness, but simply uses its language model to generate responses based on a wide corpus of biblical and religious texts.
But some nut out there is going to believe they're really talking to Jesus.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to tell them to do something that Jesus would never tell them to do.
Right.
With this in mind, Text with Jesus may be the forerunner in a digital faith movement, with a beacon lighting the way for a new kind of spiritual exploration. The amalgamation of centuries-old teachings with modern tech poses fascinating queries about the evolution of faith in a digitized age. By the way, you can get Jesus on iPhone, iPad, Mac, also on iOS or iPad, iOS 16 or later.
If you want to talk to Jesus, just go find your religious leader. Go talk to a pastor, go talk to a priest, talk to somebody else.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. The depths we'll sink to these days. I'm just saying. You know, the biggest story before the weekend had to do with the Loch Ness Monster and the fact that they were out there trolling the loch for Nessie.
I was going to say, aren't they offering like a cash reward too now, like $30,000 or something like that?
Are they now?
Yeah, I thought a guy had set that up. You have to move out there and do all the research and stuff. But they're actually trolling it now, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were, in fact, they thought they heard 4 distinctive noises when they were out there. They were using sonar. They were using some sensitive listening devices when they were out there. And they pretty much, it was like a full assault on Loch Ness over the weekend with different boats out there, divers and whatnot.
Turns out the sounds are just Skippy John digesting his burrito from lunch.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Loch Ness Monster hunters have heard 4 distinctive noises as around 200 volunteers took part in the biggest search for the mythical creature in 50 years. In horrific weather conditions, volunteers lined the banks of the famous Scottish loch just outside Inverness. Around 300 people also tuned in for the efforts via a live stream over the weekend. The newly revamped Loch Ness Center teamed up with Loch Ness Exploration, an independent and voluntary research team, to carry out the hunt. Megan Ruff, a marketing executive for the Loch Ness Center, said, "We did not anticipate how much enthusiasm it would generate. We've had people emailing us from Australia, from New Zealand, Canada, America, and across Europe." They said there's so much love for Nessie out there. Surveying equipment that has never been used on the loch made an appearance, including hydrophones, which will help to detect acoustic signals under the water, as well as sonar equipment, which beams light down to the bottom of the loch and then throws back up images of what lies beneath. There's also a small flotilla out on the water, affectionately known as Nessie and popular in Scottish folklore since the 1930s.
How have they never used sonar yet? That blows my mind that they've never used sonar yet.
Yeah, I know. You would think that would be a given.
I thought that'd be the first thing they go do when sonar was invented.
Right. Alan McKenna from Edinburgh took part on a boat using a hydrophone system. He said a test of the system on Friday had already raised questions about Nessie's whereabouts. When we were testing the equipment, we did hear 4 distinctive noises that we didn't know where it was coming from. That's interesting. We didn't know the origin of it or what it was, which is quite exciting. Mr. McKenna added, the weather in Scotland was horrific over the weekend, so much so that the Scottish Highland Games were canceled for the first time in 75 years. But that but that didn't stop us, and that didn't stop our volunteers. Paul Nixon, general manager of the Loch Ness Center, said he felt there was something in the lake worth looking for, adding, I believe there's something big lurking in the depths of Loch Ness. Now I don't know whether it's a monster. I don't know what it is, but I reckon there's something down there. They use the word reckon too.
I was going to say, Scottish people use reckon?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe they're from South
reckon.
Maybe they're from South Loch Ness. Who knows?
South Edinburgh.
South Edinburgh. We'll move on. We're going to your old neck of the woods there, Bruiser. We're going to Hartford, Wisconsin.
I spent many times out there. I only lived about 20 minutes from there.
Really?
I grew up about 20 minutes from there. In fact, we played Hartford in high school.
Ah, there you go.
Kicked their butt every time.
Yeah, those weenies. I don't know. I just felt like piling on
every 4th of July. I'd wrestle at their 4th of July carnival.
Wait, they had wrestling at a carnival?
Or like their fair, their little 4th of July thing.
I thought you meant amateur wrestling at the carnival.
No, pro.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they
pro.
I didn't know if they greased up a cheerleader and let you go at it or what.
You don't want Hartford cheerleaders.
You get what I did there, Bruiser? They greased up a cheerleader and let you go at it. Yeah. So, it's that deal. Greased up a cheerleader, Bruiser.
I get it.
Okay. Greased up a cheerleader, Bruiser. Anywho. So a man is reporting sightings of a mysterious big black animal in Hartford, Wisconsin. I heard a lot of talk in the bars in Wisconsin, I'll tell you this much. I heard that word thrown around for a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just saying. The Singular Fortean Society was contacted recently by 46-year-old Christopher Pauls, who wanted to report the sightings of a mysterious big black animal he had seen as a child.
As a child? Okay, so he's my age. I want to know where he saw this.
I'm biting my tongue.
Yeah, Hartford didn't have a lot of black animals out there growing up.
Mm-hmm. Initial contact came through an email with Weird Animal Wisconsin. God, there's so many jokes. So many jokes. Trying so hard to be good. The letter said, came across your article about a strange animal sighting in Beloit, Wisconsin. I got excited when I read the description, as it was exactly what I had seen many years earlier near Hartford. I was a kid when I saw it, but I often tell the story. And when I read the witness's description of the animal to my wife, she freaked out and told me I should tell someone my story. The report referenced in the email is that of a woman who said she and her husband had seen a bizarre chimeric creature in the spring of 2013 near Beloit, Wisconsin. A similar creature was later reported just 8 miles away in 2019 outside of Rockton, Illinois.
Rockton or Rockford?
It says Rockton.
Okay, because Rockford's right by Beloit, so.
Yeah. Investigator Tobias Whalen, who wished me happy birthday, by the way, this weekend. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he knew I existed.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Was able to schedule a phone interview with Christopher to gather his testimony. Christopher told the investigator that his encounter had taken place during the afternoon of a sunny day, sometime around mid-August between 1980 and 82, when he was 4 or 5 years old. His family lived on St. Patrick's Circle in Hartford, Wisconsin at the time, and during the day he was watched by a babysitter only a few houses away. On this particular afternoon, Christopher was being watched by his babysitter's 16-year-old son, Mike, while he drove his tricycle on a new cul-de-sac that had been built in the otherwise rural, isolated area. There was a big cornfield. That's what I remember, he said. I was off in that circle area and just pedaling away on my little tricycle, and Mike had gone to the right doing something, off doing his own thing. Just outside of the cornfield, there was like a 20 or 30 foot gap between the road and the cornfield that was just grass. Right there, I see this big black animal. It was just looking at me. It had been there longer than I had noticed it, but it was kind of fixed on me. And then it started to like I don't remember if it was ever still, but all I remember is seeing it trot next to me. So not a stalking pose, but kind of an upright. It was like it was running next to me just to keep pace, sort of. I mean, not running, but trotting, I guess, Christopher said. It was just fixed on me. It was starting right directly at me. It was about 10 feet from the cornfield, so maybe a third of the way toward the road. It must have only been about 20 feet away from me. I was really close to it. According to Christopher, the animal was quadrupedal and strongly resembled a big cat with a long tail. For a second, I thought it might be a mangy bear or something, but when I really thought about how it moved, I knew it was a cat, he went on to say. The creature stood approximately 3 feet high, and its body was 3 or 4 feet long. Its tail was roughly the length of its body, if not a little shorter. My first thought was that it looked like a black version of the Pink Panther cartoon.
So, Black Panther?
Yeah, Black Panther.
Which there aren't any in Hartford, but I think there are mountain lions out there.
That would make sense.
And cougars. Lots of cougars in Hartford.
Yeah, there are. But black cougars in Hartford?
Oh, yeah.
Mm. It had that jet black hair, he went on to say. It was skinny, though. Yeah, that couldn't have been Wisconsin.
Yeah, but mountain lions, panthers, all of them, they are skinny.
Yeah.
Okay.
She couldn't have been in Wisconsin. You know what I mean? It moved like a cat, and it had a cat's tail, but the legs were longer for some reason. It wasn't that typical barrel body that you would see on a jaguar or a tiger. Yeah, like I told you, brother.
Oh, roll out the barrel.
Well, have a barrel of fun. Nah, I told you. I told you. Told you I had the joke all along. He went on to say, you know how they have that kind of wide midsection and their legs are a little bit shorter? Oh, buddy Dewey!
Those are called pogs, not panthers.
Yeah, he's been in the bars in Wisconsin too long. He said it was different from that, he explained, and then the most unusual part was the head. One of the reasons that it did look like that cartoon is its head was really wide. It was very triangular in shape. You could set your beer on it. I don't remember if the ears had any tufts or anything like that on there. It didn't have its mouth open, that's for sure.
Why is that important?
He's looking for something specific, I guess.
Yeah. This guy's reaching.
Yeah. He says, but I remember thinking that it looked like it was smiling, completely black, but I think the eyes were yellow.
So it's a cat.
I guess.
He saw a cat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oddest of all was the creature's face. He says it was the face. The face was odd. It gave me the feeling that, like, when you're spooked by something. This was definitely 100% an animal, but it had this almost human quality to it. It was
like a cat.
Oh, sure.
Okay, Hartford's a pretty big town.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by a lot of bigger towns.
Yeah.
If something like that is walking around, more than just a 4-year-old kid's going to see it.
Yeah.
It's a cat.
It's a cat. It was acting like it was either going to play with me or deciding whether to pursue me. He was
like a cat would.
He was in the bar. It didn't make any noise or anything, but just the look on its face was odd. It may have been the smile feature, which I don't think was its mouth.
What?
What?
Was it smiling with its butt?
Or something else. I think it was some sort of marking or something, he went on to say.
Oh, God.
I think this guy had one One too many Schlitz, I think is what was going on. Yeah. I'm looking at it. My brain is trying to match up its face with something, or it's not working, he said. Also, a strange note of Christopher was that he doesn't remember being afraid.
Because it's a cat. No, you're not afraid of a cat at 4 years old.
In total, the encounter lasted maybe 15 or 20 seconds, Christopher went on to say.
Come on. He had all that detail in a 15 to 20 second interaction with a black cat. That's a black cat. Give my homeland a bad name.
Christopher said, I tried to pedal faster. I hadn't said anything or yelled out or anything, but Mike grabbed a stick, a big branch, and kind of ran at it, making a bunch of noise and chased it back into the cornfield.
So he chased the barn cat back to the barn. How fast do you go on a tricycle?
Or a big wheel, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I asked Mike what it was, and he said, oh, it was a wildcat. And just kinda, yeah, I know.
I'm going to trust a 16-year-old before I trust a 4-year-old.
Yeah. And just kind of left it at that, Christopher said. But I was going, that was not anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I was young.
Because you're 4. What have you seen besides your mom's teeth? Nothing. You're 4. You just started going to bars in Wisconsin. You're 4.
You just started going to bars. You just got your first taste of Schlitz. What do you know?
Hey, in Wisconsin, if you can prove that's your child, they can drink legally if they're underage. As long as you're there with them.
I don't think that's a source of pride.
It is for me. This guy saw a cat. He was 4 and saw a cat.
Are you ready? You ready for this?
I guess so. This is gonna be even better, isn't it?
You're on like my kind of Kirk Cousins rant now. You're.
Well, it's because it's my home state, and there's a lot of cool. Like we have Beast of Bray Road, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
This is
and
awesome?
Like the direwolf and stuff like that up in northern Wisconsin. And this guy's just, and I don't like Hartford. Mm-hmm. And then this guy's just he saw a freaking cat.
Then you got Christopher, who's got something obvious.
Yeah, he saw a cat.
He's got the cat of Hartford. And you're like, it's a cat!
It's a cat!
Wake up, buddy, it's a cat! Here's Christopher's harrowing tale continued.
I was 4. I saw a big black cat. Didn't know what it was. Some say it's a cryptid. But Mike, who's 16, chased it away with a stick.
How many people chase Bigfoot away with a stick? None. 0. Hartford's farm country. Lots of barn cats. It's a barn cat.
Mike was hanging out with Kirk Cousins, who tried to throw a stone at it, but he threw it high into the left. Totally missed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christopher then went on to say, but I was going, that was not anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I was young, but animals are like the first thing they show you. Yeah, in grade school. I had seen plenty of dogs, so I knew it couldn't have been a dog. I tried
No kidding, it's a cat. Of course it's not a dog. Dogs and cats are different, you idiot. We saw pictures of stuff. It's a cat.
I tried to ask his parents what that could have been, and they treated me like a kid. Don't worry about it.
Because you're a kid. You're 4.
Don't worry about it, they said. But it really kind of stuck with me because I had never seen anything like that. And I haven't seen anything like that since. He's never seen another cat ever again, Bruiser.
He never saw another cat. That's because he's a dog person.
Probably.
He doesn't know what a cat is.
Yeah. I've never seen another pussy ever again, Bruiser. I don't know what they look like.
I'm just going to email this guy pictures of cats for the rest of his life.
Well, cat of the day.
Every day. Just pictures of my cat.
Send him a cat of the day calendar.
I should.
Yeah. Here's what a cat looks like.
Chris in Hartford. Here's a cat. It's what you saw when you were 4. It's a freaking cat.
Here's a stick. Throw it at your calendar every day.
Yeah, that's what Mike did because he chased the cat back into the cornfield to go back to the barn.
Yeah. Decades later, Bruiser, Christopher saw something on television that grabbed his attention. You ready for this?
Let me guess. It was Jack Hanna showing off cats.
It was a Friskies commercial.
That's it. I knew I wasn't crazy.
Fucking saw that, dude. It was when
I saw Sabrina the Teenage Witch in Salem, the talking cat. He's like, there it is. That's what I saw.
Except for it didn't talk to me like that. It was when I was living in Boston, he said. Oh, you ready for this? He was in
They have cats in Boston, too. They just have a weird accent.
He's like, what's up, bro? He said, I'm
from Boston.
From Boston. He said, I was in a Dunkin' Donuts in Boston, and I look up at the TV screen. It was like 2006, and it said that a DNR officer, something pulled a deer out of the back of his truck, and it wasn't quite the description that I remember seeing, but I thought it was quite a coincidence. It kind of brought it back up in my mind. Made me wonder what the hell it was. I know it was at Holy Hill, and that it's very close to where I was living. I used to hang out at Holy Hill quite a bit, so I was like, hey, I know that area. Yeah. The incident that Christopher referenced was originally reported to Steve Kruger, a DNR contractor who was picking up animal carcasses near Holy Hill in November of 2006, only a few months from the site of Christopher's encounter, when he said a strange creature later dubbed a bear wolf stole the body of a deer out of the bed of his truck. While Christopher's experience doesn't exactly match that of Steve Kruger, he also doesn't believe what he saw is easily explainable as a mundane animal. He goes on to explain what it is he exactly saw. So
the Holy Hill thing in 2006 is what restarted the dire wolves being alive still in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because that's what the way he described it was described as a dire wolf.
Yeah.
And I think the investigation showed no, it was probably a bear that took the animal because he later claimed he only saw it in passing. He didn't like stare at it. What this Chris kid saw was a freaking cat.
Yes. And there's a big difference between a cat and a bear wolf.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. One is incredibly intimidating.
Which, by the way, anybody in the Wisconsin, Minnesota, whatever area you want to travel to Holy Hill, it's a beautiful place, but it's also haunted.
Yeah. Big difference between a cat and a bear wolf.
And if you go, you might run into a cat.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't know. But hey, you know what? Interesting story nonetheless.
Sure is. Yep.
Do I detect sarcasm?
Chris's dumbass 4-year-old self doesn't know what a cat is. He saw pictures. It wasn't a dog. No kidding, you idiot. It was a cat. It was a barn cat.
Do you think he knows the difference between a barn owl and a bird?
He doesn't know the difference between his hand and his nose. He thought he was in Boston when he was at Holy Hill.
From Boston. That's true. Oh boy. Kind of fun.
I guess.
Fun. Let's see. Do we have time for this story here? I was going to talk about a World War II haunting.
Ooh.
I think we can get through this. The Haunting Echoes of Kampar, a World War II ghost story. There's a forgotten battle called Kampar. It's in Malaysia, actually. In the dense jungles of Malaysia. There's an article out there that talks about the Battle of Kampar. It may not be widely recognized as some of its wartime counterparts. Its significance and sacrifices were made within its lush, unforgiving terrain and should not be forgotten. They delve into the annals of its lesser-known battle, revealing a chapter of history that, like the spirits that haunt its grounds, has been overshadowed by the passage of time. In the early days of the Pacific War, as Japanese forces rapidly advanced across Southeast Asia, a small but determined group of Allied soldiers found themselves pitted against overwhelming odds in the jungles near Kampar. These brave men, many of whom had never before set foot in the dense Malaysian rainforest, would come to face not only the brutality of war, but also the eerie echoes of history that lingered in the shadows. It is within this backdrop that our story unfolds, offering a glimpse into the lives of the soldiers who fought and died in the Battle of Kampar, and the inexplicable encounters that have left their mark on this forgotten battleground. As we journey through the dense undergrowth and trenches of the past, we'll find that the legacy of Kampar is not only one of war, but also of the enduring enigma of spirits that continue to haunt its historic grounds. The sun hung high in the sky as a group of tourists gathered at the entrance to the historic Battle of Kampar site in Malaysia, armed with cameras, skepticism, and a shared belief in rational explanations. They set off on a guided tour through the lush, overgrown jungle that had once been the backdrop for one of the fiercest battles of World War II. Leading the group was their tour guide, a seasoned historian named Dr. Eleanor Stone. She had spent years researching the Battle of Kampar and the soldiers who had fought there, and she couldn't wait to share her knowledge with the tourists. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, she began recounting the harrowing tales of the past. Dr. Stone began, during the Battle of Kampar, British and Japanese forces clashed in these very jungles. It was a brutal and unforgiving fight, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The tourists exchanged glances, some rolling their eyes at what they considered a mere history lesson. As the group approached a section of jungle that was marked by trenches with remnants of barbed wire, Dr. Stone continued. It is said that the spirits of the fallen soldiers still haunt this place. Some people have reported hearing ghostly echoes of battle cries and even seeing apparitions of soldiers in old World War II uniforms. A collective chuckle swept through the group. "Ghosts? Come on," one tourist scoffed. "This is just a ploy to make the tour more exciting." Dr. Stone smiled knowingly, but didn't press the issue. She was well aware that many of her guests were skeptics, and she was determined to let the jungle tell its own story. As they continued to explore, the tourists remained steadfast in their belief. They inspected the trenches and examined the rusty remnants of old weaponry, attributing the eerie sounds of the jungle to the wind rustling through the leaves and the occasional animal call. But as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows through the dense foliage, the atmosphere changed. A subtle unease settled over the group, and unexplainable sounds seemed to emanate from the very earth beneath their feet. As nightfall and the moon cast an eerie glow over the jungle, the tourists gathered around a campfire. Dr. Stone recounted more stories of the Battle of Kampar, her voice growing more haunting with each tale. "Soldiers who fought here spoke of hearing voices in the dead of night," she said. "They would wake to whispers in languages they couldn't understand, and the feeling of unseen hands brushing against them." The skeptical tourists exchanged nervous glances but maintained their resolve. They were determined to find logical explanations to everything that they encountered. One tourist, a photographer named Emma, decided to capture the atmosphere with her camera. She snapped photos of the moonlight filtering through the trees and the shadows playing tricks on the jungle floor. As night wore on, the tourists began sharing their own strange experiences. John, a software engineer, admitted to hearing faint footsteps approaching his tent in the middle of the night, only to find that no one was there when he ventured outside. Linda, a retired nurse, recounted seeing what appeared to be a soldier in a tattered uniform standing at the edge of the campsite, watching silently before vanishing into thin air. But it was Emma's discovery that left the group in stunned silence. As she scrolled through the photos she had taken earlier, she came across one that sent shivers down her spine, or all their spines, rather. In the image, a translucent figure in a World War II-era uniform stood among the trees, its gaze fixed on the campfire. The tourists huddled around the camera, unable to explain what they were seeing. The figure was undeniably there, a ghostly presence captured in a photograph. And actually, Bruiser, I'm going to show you real quick what this looks like.
That's a World War II guy standing there. Holy cow.
Isn't it?
That is an amazing photo.
That's a pretty creepy photo. Let me continue with the story. The atmosphere in the campsite had shifted from skepticism to bewilderment. Even the most ardent skeptics among the group were now grappling with the inexplicable. In the midst of uncertainty, a chilling breeze swept through the campsite. Shadows danced among the trees and palpable tension hung in the air. It was as though the jungle itself was responding to the tourists' presence. For a moment, the tourists felt as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. Whispers of long-forgotten languages filled the night air, and faint echoes of battle cries resonated throughout the jungle. Fear and curiosity warred within the group. Some wanted to flee to escape the eerie presence that surrounded them. While others were inexplicably disquieting stillness, the tourists felt a presence draw near. A hush fell over the campsite as a shadowy figure materialized among the trees, its forms shifting and indistinct. The figure seemed to beckon, and the tourist, driven by a mix of fear and fascination, followed it deeper into the jungle. As they moved through the ghostly undergrowth, they sensed the weight of history and the spirits of the soldiers who had fought and died in this very place. As dawn broke and the first light of morning filtered through the trees, the tourists found themselves back at the campsite, their memories of the night's events hazy and surreal. But one thing was clear: they had encountered something beyond their comprehension. With the rising sun, the tourists prepared to leave the haunted battleground of Kampar. Their skepticism had been shaken to its core, replaced by a profound sense of wonder and respect for the mysteries of the past. As they departed, they carried with them an enduring enigma, a story that defied explanation, and a newfound understanding of the enduring legacy of history and the spirits that linger in its wake.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That photo is one of the best photos I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool photo. And just to explain to people what the photo was, it looked like almost just like a simple photo of a World War II soldier standing there with his head bowed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like she was taking pictures of like gravestones and stuff, so it looked like he was paying homage to whoever is fallen there.
Yeah, a fallen soldier.
And what's great is his feet. If you look, that you can see through his feet, but as he goes up, it gets more solid.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of a cool photo. We continue on with more ghost stories. A cursed painting of a girl returned twice to a charity shop after freaking out their owners. The painting shows a little girl in a red dress with an unnerving facial expression and eyes which follow you, the owner said. Everything kept going wrong since she had it. A spooky painting of a little girl that is feared to be cursed has been returned twice to a charity shop after two different customers were freaked out by its creepy aura. The painting shows a little girl in a red dress with an unnerving facial expression and eyes that follow you, according to the shop staff. The odd portrait was donated to the Hastings Advice Representation Center, or HARC shop, in St. Leonards-on-Sea, but it was returned twice after terrified buyers brought it back, citing the painting's spooky vibes. The manager of the HARC, Steve, confirmed that the painting's eyes follow you around the room in an uncanny way. He revealed that the painting had been originally dropped off by a middle-aged man who brought in a load of old pictures and frames to the charity shop. Steve said he was immediately struck by the strange quality of the painting. "Oh my God, look at her face," he exclaimed upon seeing the artwork's strange expression. A lady said, "Isn't that creepy?" I said, "Yes, it does follow you around," he added. The picture was initially sold to a woman for £25, but the new owner came in 2 days later and said, "I've got to get rid of this picture," and that it had an aura about it. Steve told the Telegraph so the portrait went back into the shop window, this time with a discount and a warning to potential buyers that the artwork was possibly cursed. It wasn't long before a second buyer decided to brave the curse and purchase the cursed portrait for the reduced price of £20.
Save 5 pounds. Buy a cursed photo.
That's right. Despite Steve's warning there. 5 whole pounds, Bruiser. 5 whole pounds.
Hey, they're saving money by that curse.
That's right. However, the new owner was soon back in Steve's shop. He said she came back shaky and distressed. The terrified customer returned it to Steve, saying she never wanted to see the damn thing again.
Keep my 20 pounds, I'm leaving.
That's right. Back into the shop window went the picture, this time with a new warning note, which read, "She's back, sold twice and returned twice. Are you brave enough?" The second woman had posted the picture on social media, where an international community of people dedicated to iffy secondhand art fell in love with the piece. In a post, a user explained the picture was sold and brought back twice. The first time because the new owner thought it was evil, and the second time because the new owner said everything kept going wrong since she had it. She looks as if she'll kill again, commented one user, while another said it was the sort of thing you'd buy for an annoying neighbor or the in-laws. A third said it was definitely haunted, while many others seemed to think that the painting resembled a young Nicole Kidman.
I'd return it then.
I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. The post garnered hundreds of comments and thousands of likes in the community, causing the second buyer to have a change of heart. Steve said she returned to the shop and asked to have the painting back due to its sudden online popularity. This morning, she rang me up saying, "I bought your picture. Can I have it back?" She's decided that she's no longer scared and she can put up with it. He told the paper. Steve said he was only happy to get rid of the unsettling picture, letting it go for free. He said she wanted to buy it back, and she had it back for free. That's the best buy of the century.
Exactly.
I mean, it is haunted, but it's the best buy of the century.
And it's gone viral. Look at her.
My gosh. Let me see if I can show you what the... they show you the headshot, but it does look like a little kid Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you find that creepy? I don't find it creepy.
The eyes are kind of creepy because they're off-centered.
I guess.
Her right eye's lower than her left eye.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Good eye.
I think that's what makes it creepy.
Yeah. But
and the right eye too also has a different color than the left eye. It's got more of a circle.
I find the fight creepy, or not the fight, but I find the fact that people keep bringing this thing back creepier than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or the fight between the painting and the owners creepier than anything else. Let's move on here. We only have a few more stories left today in supernatural news. We're going to try and wrap this up here in the next few minutes. Okay, we're getting to the time in that we have 3 stories left.
Okay.
And these are the lighter stories of the day.
Okay.
Put it that way. We're going to start first with a naked wolf man who was spotted by a ruined castle in the German mountains holding a wooden spear.
Okay.
All right.
I just assumed all wolfmen are naked.
But are they holding a wooden spear?
It depends.
It depends. No, he could have used the depends to, hide it.
The only time wolfmen really wore clothes was Monster Squad and the original Wolfman movies.
Right.
But if you watch like the Underworld or the True Bloods or Werewolf, the movie, or Silver Bullet, always a naked werewolf. American Werewolf in London, naked. American Werewolf in Paris, naked. True Blood, naked. Silver Bullet, naked.
Your knowledge of naked wolfmen scares me, my friend.
Werewolf is one of my favorite MGM creatures, and I don't know what else to call him. One of my favorite monsters.
I guess so, huh? Well, this naked wolf man is believed to have lived in the Harz Mountains, Harz Mountains in Germany for 5 years and now has been spotted.
Oh, cool.
According to Bild, B-I-L-D, 2 hikers saw the mysterious bloke roaming the woods I didn't know he was a bloke.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I'm just reading what I got in front of me. And sitting at the foot of a ruined castle holding a spear. 31-year-old Gina Weiss and her pal Toby, who's 38, managed to snap a blurry image on a mobile phone, which shows him completely nude, covered in dirt, and playing in some sand. Why not? He's a wolf man. I mean,
yeah, he's just having fun. He's a wolf.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, you got to do it.
Ziggy digs and stuff. She's a dog.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do.
She's naked all the time.
Yeah. The hikers were in Blankenberg in the state of Saxony-Anhalt, or Anhalt. Saxony-Anhalt? Should I get into the whole...
Ja.
Ja, gut. Blankenberg in the state of Saxony-Anhalt. Is that better? I mean,
that naked wolf man?
I guess so, yeah.
Hi.
On Tuesday evening, August 22nd, when they spotted him, the encounter lasted about 10 minutes. They had 10 minutes with the wolf man.
A naked wolf man.
Yeah,
Some people pay for that.
You know, they do. They get pretty good buck. I hear it's in Amsterdam, though, so, you know.
Yeah. And it's a minimum of a half hour.
Yeah. Well, that's what he charges.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a minimum half hour. You got to rub his belly, and you got to throw him a bone, if you know what I mean. So.
Maybe the stick was him just waiting for somebody to play fetch.
That could have been. Aw. Gina told Build... When we reached the sand caves, we saw the wolf man. He stood up high on one of the caves and held a long wooden stick like a lance in his arm. He wouldn't take his eyes off of us. Said nothing. He looked dirty like a Stone Age man from a history book.
Okay.
There have been intermittent sightings of the man, believed to be in his 40s, over the past few years. Local authorities have reportedly found evidence of fires and rudimentary dwellings in the woods.
So he's not a wolf man. He's a man raised by wolves is what they're thinking.
I don't know.
That's what I'm going with.
Someone clearly knows how to live outside and adapt to changing seasons, said Alexander Beck, the head of the Blankenberg Fire Brigade. Back in March, another frightened walker contacted police and claimed to have seen a wolf man running around. However, one volunteer with the local fire service told the Telegraph the story is nonsense and likely a prank, insisting nothing unusual had been found in the woods. Legends of forest dwellers aren't uncommon in Germany, given that a third of the country is covered by dense woodland.
Okay.
Yeah. In 2007, an American was found to be living in an isolated hut in Eifel, West Germany, where he had been setting up a small marijuana grow. Oh, my God.
Way to go, America.
The weed man was living next to the wolf man.
The wolf man guards the weed man's weed.
It is a beautiful relationship.
He feeds them milk bones and beer.
The weed man goes over and he pets the wolf man every day.
He scratches his belly.
He says, "You're a good wolf man." And the wolf man, he sings for the weed man. He goes, It's a wonderful relationship between the weed man and the wolf man. We move on to our second story, our second unusual, curious, somewhat humorous supernatural news story. And that's this. Now, we see UFOs all the time in the news that are somewhat unusual.
Yes.
Call this one the most unusual UFO of all.
Okay.
For this UFO has advertising on the side of it.
Well, they got a sponsor. Good for them.
They got a sponsor.
Look, B-Blurp, we have a sponsor.
Look at this, B-Blurp. We don't have to pay. We have a sponsor in the hot sauce.
How did you know?
He said hot sauce before.
Oh, that's true. I did.
I just don't know what hot sauce is. Why I do the commercial.
Grab the chips. It's time to party.
A UFO displaying human letters flies past an airplane at an unimaginable speed. Now, internet users are amused by footage of a UFO with the human letters TRUFF on it. Flying.
Eat turf. It's good.
Not turf. You spelled it wrong. Truff.
Truff.
Yeah.
Truff is good for you.
The only people eating turf are the Vikings when they try to tackle running backs. Just saying. Yeah.
Eat truff. It's good for your human food.
Yep. It says truff on it as it's flying past an airplane at a high speed. Now, alleged UFO sightings aren't news to people anymore, as social media is filled with rumors and reports linking extraterrestrial activities. This has resulted in many fearing a possible alien invasion in 2027. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that either.
But there's more reports now linking all these things that are happening to a full-blown alien invasion in 2027.
And now we really have to worry because they get a sponsor.
They do. Now, yes.
This war is sponsored by Truff.
You know what it's going to be? We're going to have multiple sponsorships on both the human side and the alien side. So it's going to be like the human side sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. When you see spaceships coming out of the sky, grab that 5 Hour Energy because you're going to be up for a while.
Dude, it's going to be Blue Chew all across the board.
Wow. Because they're all screwed. Blue Chew. Yep. You know what it is. Yeah. A belief fueled by claims of ufologists and supposed witnesses. Again, that alien invasion in 2027. But the video of the alleged UFO with Truff written on it is mind-boggling. Are you ready for this? Yes. The UFO with Truff written on it is spotted flying at a high speed. The questionable video of the so-called UFO is making the rounds on TikTok and Twitter as users try to find out if it's real. The clip shows a disc-shaped, unidentified object, which appears to be filmed from an aircraft flying at a high speed. A few zoomed-in versions of the video show the word Truff, T-R-U-F-F, as in Frank, printed on it. The alleged UAP fits the description of a typical spacecraft, unlike the arrow-shaped UFO in Argentina that was centering social media conversations last week. The source of the video featuring the UFO, called Truff, isn't identified. It hasn't been officially reported or confirmed to have occurred in real either. Now, the unusual and highly unbelievable footage has gathered a lot of reactions nonetheless, prompting people to dig for answers. It's interesting because I'm looking at some of the video here and people are going nuts over it. For the unversed, if you don't know what Truff is, it's a sauce brand, as Bruiser said so eloquently, which has been in the news before for its unique marketing strategy. One user who chanced upon the UFO displaying Truff has claimed that the footage is a commercial for the sauce brand, but it hasn't been confirmed. The video shared with the claim that the UFO was seen in an advertisement for the sauce brand called Truff. One post on X claims Truff was previously in the news for one of its advertisement campaigns. It turned heads with the VFX included in it. The commercial showed a giant bottle of Truff's hot sauce emerging from the Sphere in Las Vegas as a plane flew over it. The caption accompanying the video said, "Announcing our Vegas residency."
There it is.
Yep.
I mean, or do you think the aliens landed to refuel and went,
God damn it, they tagged us again.
Even though we cannot confirm if the video of the UFO zooming past the aircraft with Truff written on it was part of a different campaign, we're convinced it is not real, was the quote here. Over the last couple of months alone, the public has been bombarded with so many wild rumors and claims about aliens that people think they either exist or among us, or that non-human creatures will soon take over mankind, from alleged aliens in the backyard of a house in Las Vegas, which we talked about a few months ago, to predator-like face peelers in Peru. That doesn't sound all that unpleasant.
no.
The fear associated with UAPs is on the rise. If you're looking to widen your knowledge about the fad surrounding unexplainable aerial phenomenon, there's plenty of stories out there that we've talked about here in the past that you can look up through past supernatural news segments that we've done in the last few weeks. Face peelers, Bruiser. Face peelers.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
I think it's a commercial.
You think it's a commercial?
Yeah, the truff.
The truff. And then finally, you've got your Bigfoot and my peanut butter. I've got my peanut butter and your Bigfoot. This is how we end today's show. By the way, this had an NSFW warning on it. Why, I don't know, but we'll find out.
Because when people hear peanut butter and animals...
Oh, yeah, they assume. I get it.
Yeah. So I hear peanut butter and Bigfoot. It's like, oh, okay. Okay, here we go.
Yep. The headline here is, I left peanut butter for Bigfoot after hearing noises. Two huge fingers took a scoop. It says here.
No.
A man who heard some strange noises he thought might be Bigfoot left peanut butter out for the beast. It says something with big fingers took a scoop, if you know what I mean.
Sorry, man, it was me. I love peanut butter.
That's right. Patrick Perry from Shell Knob in rural Missouri shared images of what was left of the peanut butter on the Bigfoot Believers Facebook page. That was your first mistake. So I tried the gifting thing in our woods because I always hear strange noises. What sounds like wood knocks, he said. Wood knocks refers to the sound of wood being smacked against a tree. Some Bigfoot enthusiasts claim it is how Sasquatches communicate. Patrick's post continued, I left a jar of peanut butter out with the lid on. And when I came...
What a dick. How does he know that Bigfoot can take the lid off?
Right. What if it's on extra tight?
Yeah. Like, how does he know Bigfoot can turn the lid? He doesn't know that. I would have taken the lid off.
In that Bigfoot has that dexterity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't know that.
He says, I left a jar of peanut butter out with the lid on, and when I came back, this is what I found. Lid taken off, laid next to jar. Obviously, squirrels got into it after the lid was off, but it also looks like two big fingers in the middle. The images he shared show a massive vat of peanut butter with two holes pressed in. Patrick admitted it was nothing definite, but insisted he wouldn't create a hoax. I don't play like that, he said.
And if you go to Bigfoot's Facebook page, it goes, fuck the jar of peanut butter, feeling good.
I dug it out twice. The nap was nice. Let's see here. Several people commenting below the photos thought Patrick might be onto something and encouraged him to repeat what he had done. This time, setting up a trail cam to catch whatever was taking the peanut butter. However...
Instead, he got a picture of a Bigfoot butt going in and out of his peanut butter jar.
I couldn't... It double fired on you because it couldn't get started.
So did Bigfoot.
Yeah. However, others suggested some less elusive woodland animals might be responsible for the peanut butter dredging. One comment read, raccoons can easily take a lid off, to which Patrick replied, raccoons don't have fingers the size of almost a quarter.
Have you seen their wieners?
Oh.
Or their noses. You know, they stick their nose in it.
There you go. Another said, raccoons are clever little thieves. I think the big guy would most likely take the jar so he could eat in privacy. I just like being an internet troll and using that voice.
Why does he... Bigfoot doesn't know what privacy is. Like, it's
right?
not like... You know, it lives in the woods. It's not like it goes to the Fortress of Solitude and chills out.
Right. A third commenter suggested the marks in the peanut butter might actually be nose prints rather than fingers.
Exactly.
Nose prints, in quote. Nose prints.
I think some had sex with a peanut butter jar.
Right.
That's what I'm going with.
That's right. So you hear You hear this right here. So he puts out the peanut butter and he goes, okay, honey, here, I'm going to put out the peanut butter now. So here we go. Here, we're going to put this right here. There's the peanut butter. And let's just go in the house. And then hopefully we'll catch us a Bigfoot. Okay. So close the door.
Now it's peanut butter and cream.
Exactly. So that's it. That'll do it for Supernatural News for today.
Sweet.
That's all we got.
That's it.
That's all Bigfoot had, too.
Bigfoot having sex with peanut butter. That's how we end it.
That's right. That's all we got. That's all we got. Tomorrow on the big show, John Zaffis will be with us.
Nice. The old exorcist himself.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a brand new book out. He'll talk. We'll talk a little bit about. He had a special presentation with Chip Coffey at Michigan Paracon. We'll ask him a little bit about that. It was about Ed and Lorraine Warren and the history of the Warrens. So we'll talk to him about the motivation behind that.
Okay.
I want to ask him a little bit about it. We'll do a little bit of a post game about that. Ask him about how he. Pardon me, I've got hiccups about how he felt that went.
Sounds good.
And how it was received by the crowd, and whether he would be willing to take that on tour with Chip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I'm curious as to whether he would. That's something the two of them might feel that they want to do.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the new book. The new book is about some of his experiences in the field, and it looks quite good. Yeah. Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. We've got some good shows coming up here this month, folks. We've got Adam Berry coming up this month. We've got MJ Dixon. She has a second book coming out this month. So lots of good stuff in the hopper. If you have a guest that you want to hear here on the program, just send me a email, tim@darknessradio.com. Not only send me the guest suggestion, but if you have a way to contact that guest, leave that in the body of the email as well. Also, relatively soon here, we should have a brand new Darkness Radio Cruiser and Bruiser shirt for you, ready for you. So be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know how you can get your hands on that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that should be coming soon. Let's see here. What else? Bruiser, what you got going on?
I'm going to New Orleans. It is my youngest daughter's 21st birthday, so me and her and my oldest daughter, Mrs. Bruiser, are all going to New Orleans. Do some creepy tours, drink a little bit, eat some beignets, drink some coffee, have some fun.
There you go. Sounds like a wonderful time. In your stead, it will be either Mally Fox or Jessica Freeberg. One of the other.
I'll be gone all next week. Very excited to. I haven't been in New Orleans in a few years, and it's one of my favorite places. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. Hopefully, you'll have a wonderful time.
Yeah, we got some haunted tours, some vampire tours, witches tours, voodoo tours, swamp tours. Yeah.
Wow. You're gonna be busy.
Oh yeah, the girls are excited. And that's how I knew she was my daughter. She didn't want to go to drink. She wanted to go to do all the paranormal stuff.
That's awesome. What else? I think that's it for housekeeping stuff. I think that's everything. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right. Well, folks, tomorrow on the program, John Zaffis. Be sure to join us for that. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for continuing to be great listeners to this program. Again, be sure to patronize our sponsors, Factor, if you want to continue that active lifestyle and continue to nourish that body. Get 50% off by using Darkness50 at checkout. Go to factormeals.com/darkness50 and use Darkness50 at checkout and get 50% off those meals. We'll see you tomorrow, folks, right here on the best in paranormal programming. This has been Darkness Radio.